Welcome back, everybody, to episode... Damn it. I honestly have no idea what episode this is. I just sat down to record this intro and later outro in between my 15-month-old daughter just going bonkers. We're in a rough time right now, but it's okay. She's growing. She's learning. And I forgot to check what episode this is. I think it's 14. I believe it's 14. If it's not, I'm going to look like an idiot. But let's just say episode 14 of the Back Lounge podcast. My name's Tank. I'm your host, and I'm a roadie with over 15 years of experience in the touring music industry. And if you're new here, ignore me sounding like an idiot just there. But also just know that what we do here is invite bands and artists and other roadies, and at this point, anybody else, and we just have conversations about whatever we want to. None of these are really written out or scripted or anything. I kind of just come into these episodes already with whatever I have in my head, knowing what I know about our guest, and we just talk and go from there. And in today's episode, a very special guest returning to my channel, but first time on the podcast, guitarist and fellow YouTuber Nik Nocturnal, man. And I was super excited about this because while I don't know Nik like really well, I wouldn't say we're like super close friends or anything. We talk pretty often offline, and he's an awesome dude, and we just kind of click, man. I mean, we're both super into music and production and gear and stuff, so we have really good conversations. So I figured, why not have him back and get him on a full podcast episode? And to be honest, man, nothing against any of my other guests because I've loved everybody I've had here, but this was probably one of my favorite ones I've had, just purely for the laughs and the conversation, man. I mean, you'll hear, we were just laughing pretty much about everything we were talking about the whole time, but there's a lot of good information in there. And while we did spend some time talking about content and what we do on YouTube and Twitch, I really tried to focus this on his music, and we spent a lot of time talking about Nik Nxk, his new trap metal project that he started and how it came about and what he's doing. We talked about his recent trip to New York when he was hosting an event for Coheed and Cambria's latest album release. And then we spent some time talking about the new Termina album. Now, if nobody's familiar with Termina, that is the project of Nik and Andy Cizek, who is most known from Monuments. Two-man project. They released an album in 2021, and they're gonna release an album soon. Now, when that is, I have no idea. I tried to ask Nik when they were planning on releasing it, and he's like, I don't know, bro. We still gotta finish it first. So be on the lookout for that. But they are releasing a brand new single, the first from this new album, on July 8th, which is actually the day after this podcast comes out. So be on the lookout for that. I will say, I've already seen it. I will have a reaction to it. It is fucking awesome. And maybe I'm a little biased because I like Nik, but I mean, dude, it was incredible. And they have, I mean, the guests, well, I don't know if guests is the right way to put it, but the people that they had involved on the production on this one are awesome, because with their first album, it was just Nik and Andy, and they did all the mixing and mastering and stuff. For this album, they got Chris Turner of Ocean's 8 Alaska to play the drums on it, on the whole album, man. And they also had Zach Cervini, who is a monster producer in the music industry. He's mixing and mastering it. And if you're not familiar with Zach's work, I mean, he is like the metalcore producer. I mean, in the last couple of years alone, he's worked with like Architects, Bring Me the Horizon, Motionless in White. I mean, he's even done like Limp Bizkit and shit, man. The guy's really good at his job, and it really shows on this project. So be on the lookout for the new Termina single. It's called Translucent. It is fantastic. Check out Nik's trap metal stuff. He's got a couple singles out, and make sure you keep your eyes open for whenever they do finish the Termina album and decide to release it. But let's just jump into this one, man. I'm super happy to bring this one to you. It was a blast. So welcome back to the channel. First time on the podcast, Nik Nocturnal. All right. Well, here we are back again. I feel like we did this like kind of recently, but it's been, I think, like 6 months. But Nik Nocturnal, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be back. Talk all about the YouTubes and the weird and the metals and the rah-rahs, all of it.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's funny. I almost wore that same hoodie today, but I think it's in the laundry. I've worn your hoodie so much now that the logo on it is like peeling off. Like I have to get another one.
Thank you, man. I thought only posers wore this hoodie, so I appreciate you.
It's comfortable.
It is, right? That's why I'll wear it, because it's fucking comfy.
So I started doing merchandise somewhat recently, and I do the same thing you do, like the Teespring stuff and stuff like that. Yeah. And when I ordered a sample of my hoodie, I was like, damn. I was like, this is comfortable. Like, I feel weird like wearing this in public because it has my name on it, but like it's comfortable.
Yeah, well, Teespring used to be shittier, and it's like, and then actually my girlfriend kind of runs all the merch stuff, and she just organizes it all. So she did Shopify for a bit, and it was great. And you got like that like slight bit better, more customization and stuff. But then it's like stuff like, oh, this is randomly out of order, and all your orders are messed up. All your orders are messed up, and you're just like, what? And it doesn't like auto fix itself. So it's like you don't even know something's out of stock, and people are ordering it, and it was such a nightmare. That it was just like, okay, let's the quality is the same, shirts and like hoodies, like in terms of like the builds and the comfortability, but it's like, let's just take away some of the customizability for like the storefront and like actually just make this not painful anymore. So I
actually really like how Teespring does things, because it's like the print on demand thing. It's like, when somebody orders it, they make it, and that's great for somebody like us that like we don't have to worry about anything. It's a little more expensive on the cost end. It's like, I think people probably think like we make a lot of money on merch, and we really don't. Like if somebody buys a hoodie, I make like $8, something like that. But I love how they do things, and it's, they ship, I think they ship out of the Netherlands and the US. So it's like the people in Europe don't have to spend all the money on the crazy shipping. Shipping is bonkers, dude. Like,
oh my God. Yeah, man.
So Electric Callboy just came out with patches for jackets, like, and I wanted to get a couple to put on my jacket, and the shipping was 4 times more than the actual patches I ordered. It was
it's wild how much shipping is, especially with the whole like world exploding and stuff. It's just it's like, is it even worth to buy some things? And it's sad because some things are so cool, but they're from across the world, and you got to ship it, and it costs so much money. So
I collect so many vinyls, just because to me vinyl, I don't fucking listen to them. I don't like when people are like, what kind of record player you do have? It's like, I don't listen to vinyl. Come on, like
it looks pretty. That's why you want to look at it.
It's art to me. Yes, like I like it. I like there's so many cool designs that have come out, and lately a lot of bands have really been focusing on cool artwork. Like Alex from Malevolence said, he's like, it's not an afterthought for us. Like we really want to put out something that looks cool to people. So it's like, I got their album, and then like the new Creator that I just got, I was like, I opened it, I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, but shipping on those, man, there was a limited edition from somebody I wanted to buy recently, but it was from a European store. And the shipping on it was like 70 euros. And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, I can't do it, dude.
You can go to Europe at that point. Just pick it up, man. Like take a little boat trip there.
Like I can't justify that. So I got like the standard edition from the US, but it's like, whatever. But at some point it's like, dude, I can't do it. Like,
and also, I mean, vinyls in general, I know, like I literally, even talking with labels, I'm sure you talk with a few too, that are like, we're not releasing stuff until vinyl is ready. Like literally they've had albums on hold for like a whole year because of vinyl, and you're just like, oh wow, like they're pretty hardcore on this stuff.
I think that's why Arch Enemy's record got pushed back a couple weeks.
Might have been.
I would assume that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because I didn't even know. I did a reaction recently, and I was like, their album comes out, July 29th or something. And somebody's like, no, it got pushed to August. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, dude, August rip. Oh, my God. like fall, fam, I'm telling you, man, fall is hell. Dude, it's just every band is going to cannibalize each other. Like, there is no winning. I mean, for us, it's like we can just pick whatever we want. We can be like, oh, feast for us. Let's pick this one, this high quality one. Oh, this day will be this one, because it's just going to be all the releases at the exact same in the exact 2 months, and that's it. Everything.
So like when I film reactions, I keep a master Word document of like, if I do a reaction to a band and they have an album coming out, I put it on this list. So this list is just stuff that's on my radar. I know there's a lot more releases, and I just pulled it up when you said it. And like August alone for me is like Soulfly, Amon Amarth, Arch Enemy, The Halo Effect, Soilwork, Machine Head, And then September is
There's so much more too. There's
so much more. This is just the stuff I've like had like, and then September is like Blind Guardian, Miss May I, Electric Callboy, Behemoth, like August and September, and then now we've got Lorna Shore has announced it's going to be October for their album. Like August, September, October is going to be bonkers for metal releases.
It's going to be I think literally the wildest, just like nonstop set of releases I've ever seen I've ever seen doing this. To be honest, it's fucked.
Yeah, and it's hard to keep up. Like it's so hard, and it's like,
dude, even last Friday, like last week was one of the craziest weeks of my life, and of course that's the week I'm releasing Nik Nxk, and I'm just like, well, I guess I'm here. Let's just go for it at this point. Like, there's no turning back. Fuck it. Yeah. But I didn't even know it was possibly legal to release Spiritbox and Lorna Shore in the same week. Like, that's not fair. Plus, Sleeping with Sirens, Fit for a King. Oh my God, Megadeth.
Yeah,
like, why?
I saw the Megadeth.
You were gone for so long. Did you have to come back this week?
And fuck, Ozzy Osbourne dropped a single that same week. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was fucked last week. I gave up.
I told my dad that because my dad's really into like rock and metal and stuff. It's funny because he when I was growing up, he got me into like the classic rock and the classic metal, and you know, metal to him is like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, you know. But he's started getting into the stuff that I have done reactions to, and every now and then when we do request streams on Twitch, he'll like text me and like, hey, I got a request for you, and I'll like throw it in. My dad is finding these like obscure fucking. He a couple or last week he sent me this like solo artist from Greenland, a native dude that has like 50 monthly listeners on Spotify, and he sounds exactly like Winter Sun, just doing it all by himself.
What?
And then a couple weeks before that, he sent me this band from Taiwan, black metal band from Taiwan that we like checked out on stream, and everybody's like, this is fucking sick. Where does your dad find this stuff? I was like, I have no idea, because he's
call
never...
Reddit. Definitely. Like, yeah, it has to be like some like semi-deep web area where he's just like scrolling.
Yeah, but when I told him Ozzy had a new single out, he's like, I thought he was like almost dead. And I was like, I seriously think the music is the only thing keeping that guy alive. I think he's staying alive because he wants to put out music.
That guy is he's not a human being at this point. Like, he has transcended into this otherly being with like all the drugs and shit he's taken. Like, it's insane, and it's gonna honestly, like, I hope he just lives for another 300 years and just like I really do, because he's such a legend, and he's so funny. And I didn't grow up watching the Osbournes. I watched it recently. And that, like, because I grew up liking Ozzy Osbourne and like their like music and stuff, but I never watched the Osbournes. And then when I started watching the Osbournes, I was like, I just want to give that guy a hug. He's just he's so nice, and his family is like doing his shit, and he just wants to fucking sit there and watch TV like without picking up his dog's shit every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, that makes sense, because I think I might be mistaken, but I think I'm like 9 or 10 years older than you, which again,
I'm 25.
Okay, I'm 35. Makes me feel fucking old. That show probably came out when you were like 2.
Yeah, I was. What was it, 2000s or something?
I think it was really early 2000s, because I was in early high school when that came out.
Yeah,
so,
I was like 5, 6 or something.
Yeah. So I actually have a funny story regarding one of the Osbournes.
Okay.
This is one of those random like sometimes when you tour, you run into people you'd never fucking expect.
Right.
So we did this when I was working for Dustin Lynch, the country artist. We did this big festival in California called Stagecoach.
Okay.
And it's run by the same people as Coachella. So this festival, after Coachella is done, they turn it over in a week, and it becomes Stagecoach, which is the country version of Coachella. Same grounds, same staff, everything.
Okay.
And it's like, 100,000 fucking people. It's bonkers.
Damn.
So we're doing our show, and I'm like working. Like, I'm always stage left when I tech, and my guitar tech on the other side of the stage from me is like waving at me, and I'm just like, what? And he's like pointing like next to me, and I was like, what the fuck? And I turn and look next to me, and I didn't notice because I was working. Kelly Osbourne and a couple of her friends are standing like 2 feet from me watching Dustin's show, and I'm just like, that's a random person to be watching a country show. And this was like 2016 or 17, something like that. And I was like, wow, that's really weird. And then like we finish the show, we pack up, and And that night, Dustin had a bunch of people on his bus and was like partying and raging, and I was still drinking back then. So I went onto his bus,
Right.
and Kelly's up there fucking partying with everybody. And I'm just like, this is so random and wild. Yeah. And I actually spent a little time around her, and she was like really fucking nice and really cool, and like just partying her face off, and which she's actually sober now, if I'm not mistaken. I saw in the news the other day she just celebrated like a year of sobriety or something, which is fucking super cool for her. She looks like a different person. Like, looks like a completely different person.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, it's funny because you watch those shows and like they're like, kind of like bratty little kids in those, and they're young kids and they're teenagers and shit. But like I feel like they also kind of just got like wholesomed up like as they got older. Like they just like were like, oh yeah, like this is not a normal life. We're pretty lucky. Shit's pretty fucking crazy, and like
for sure.
It's, I guess they just they seem like very chill, down to earth people, which is really cool because I feel like it's much more rare. You grow up with a fucking rock star dad. It's not as common that you turn out like chill.
I couldn't imagine growing up like that. Just compared to like how I did, like very middle class American. It's like, could you imagine just your fucking dad is like one of the most famous rock stars ever, literally unlimited fucking money, and you just get whatever you want? Like, I couldn't imagine that. Like,
it's a weird contrast, man. But I mean, like it's hard to deal with it and understand how to deal with it because you're in the world and everyone is like praising you and praising your family, obviously. So it's definitely hard to like get into reality and be like, oh, like this is why. Oh shit, But yeah, they see super chill. I love the Osbournes, man. It's such a fun fucking show.
It's so funny, dude. I mean, it was so popular when I was in high school that like we'd watch a new episode and then you'd go to school the next day and everybody in the hallways is walking around going, Sharon. Like everybody's quoting the fucking TV show.
Oh my god, like, that's amazing.
And I always with those like super famous people with kids, I saw like Shaquille O'Neal recently did this big piece about how he doesn't spoil his kids. He goes, I teach my kids the value of money and I make them work for things. I don't buy them something unless they do something. And I was like, wow, that's really cool that he does that. But then I find out like he makes his kids take out the trash and then he buys them a fucking Lamborghini. So I'm like, that's a little different than how it works.
Well, how else are they going to get the trash to the garbage disposal place? All right, Tank, they need to drive the Lamborghini.
Yeah, like, it's like, all right. So, I mean, I appreciate the value in making him work for something, but I was like, that's not the kind of rewards I got when I was younger. Like,
just every time a new Lambo, eventually the Lambos become the trash because there's no space. It's like, damn, we got to take another one to the dump. There's no more space, guys.
It's wild. But dude, let's just break into actually what we should be talking about here, and then we can get off the rails later, dude. So you have been so fucking busy, dude. And I mean, I assume everybody that's going to listen to this podcast like is already familiar with you and has seen releases, but it's like, dude, okay, let's just start at what just came out.
Okay.
The newest Nik Nxk single.
Yeah.
And I'm an idiot. The first time I checked it out, I believe I called it Nik Nxk because I saw the X and was like, oh wait, the X is supposed to be an O. Fuck.
I purposely, whenever I see the V's and the X, so I learned the language now over the years. The V's replace the A's, the X's replace the O's, and like sometimes U's. Like it's really fucking weird. And there's a few other letters that get replaced too. So like I basically have been going to school again for this at this point. But yeah, I did it ironically just as like I wanted it to be near my name, Nik Nocturnal, because that's obviously my brand and all that shit. But I didn't, I was like, well, how do I do this? And I was like, what if I just do Nik Nxk instead of the Turnal, just keep Nik Nxk? So it's just like short form Nik Nxk. But then I replaced the O with an X and now it's Trap. That was basically it. I was like, done, easy, let's go.
X's are a wild card though too, because like when I was growing up in the Chicago local scene, we had a local band called Hypothermia. Yeah. But the H was an X.
That's too far. Zypothermia. Like, that's
literally anybody that ever saw that was like Zypothermia. Yeah. But
that's too far.
But dude, I just last night I purposely did this. Like I actually filmed like a full reaction to it to Industry, because what caught my eye about that one was, so you release Isolation and it does great. It's over 100,000 views on YouTube. But it was released last month.
Yes. This
one has been out right now for 5 days and it has like over 210,000 views.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so I'm like, what is it about this one? So that made me really curious to check it out. And I kid you not, dude, where I joked, and I know you saw the reaction to Isolation, but
thank you for checking it out, by the way. I appreciate
for sure.
it.
And where I joked and said like, okay, like I appreciate this for what it is. He wasn't taking himself too seriously while he actually took the production seriously. I will probably not listen to this again.
Yeah.
I had the opposite feeling about Industry, to be honest.
Sick.
Like I felt like that one was more serious and it was something that I enjoyed and will listen to again.
Right.
And I really commended you in that for just the vocals and the lyrical content, because, you know, I know the music industry too, and it's like nobody wants to say that out loud, but at the same time, I was right away, first line when you were like, you know, fuck the industry or whatever. I was like, yeah, like,
let's go.
Yeah, like. It is. It's a wild, shitty place for those that don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for the kind words to check it out. So yeah, it's essentially, I get all the sentiments, all that, and even watching the reaction videos, like I get it, because you guys are right at the same time, because essentially this whole thing was supposed to be a trap metal meme concept where I saw, you know, I seen what happens in trap metal. I see what's happening on TikTok, like, and the metal labels are now just realizing it's kind of going on, and it's like, maybe we should get some of these trap dudes, because this is what happens. There's these trap dudes, and they're recording their fucking iPhone or Nokia, whatever they had, and you know, they have Fruity Loop beats going on, right, that they downloaded from some sketchy fucking Russian website, all right, and they just do that. They throw down random like RARs that just are literally yells, like they're not really screaming, a lot of them, and because it's that raw aggression that is very relatable, and like same thing with that TikTok culture where it's like less quality is now more in some weird fucked up way. It's way more relatable, so a lot of these kids were doing this and throwing it on TikTok and blowing the fuck up, and it's like they'll do their TikTok, then they'll release one single doing this trap metal stuff. Again, not even with the producer sometimes, just like themselves, and it sounds kind of like garbagey and shitty, but it's just relatable and just angry, right? And they'll do one song on Spotify and get like 500,000 monthly listeners, and you're just like,
it's insane.
What happened? You know what I mean? And it's just, and they have whole careers out of this now. Like, and
dude, I'm naive to that. I had no idea. Like when you started doing the trap metal thing, like that's why I thought it was a joke, because I was like, I've never heard of this. Now, most of my social media time is spent on like Reddit or Instagram. I don't really do TikTok a lot. So
I'm sorry for your Reddit readings. I you know, my condolences for those. Those are
most
always
of the time I'm just reading like Destiny 2 lore and shit about video games and stuff. So I stay away from the metal subreddits.
Oh, well then you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. So I had no idea until now, like what you're talking about. Like I didn't know there was legitimate like kids just blowing. Now I knew there was kids blowing up on TikTok, but I didn't know they were doing like trap metal stuff.
This like, and that's the funny thing is it's been going around for a while, like in that scene, but it's not considered part of the metal scene, which is really weird. Right, and that's why it never gets intertwined, and like people never really talk about it. And I remember listening to Scarlord the first time when he did Heart Attack, I think, and that was like, fuck, I forgot, 2018, 19, 20. It's, I don't know, the years all blend together.
Yeah.
And being like, this is trap beats with screaming. What the fuck is this? And not even realizing that was even considered late, because Ghostmane came before that, and Bones and a bunch of, you know, XXX and all that stuff way before in that scene that no one, like the metal scene, doesn't talk about. And it's like, I was confused because I was like, where is this? Like, why is, and these songs have hundreds of millions of plays on YouTube, like in the music videos.
Really?
And these guys have like millions of monthly listeners, and no one's talking about them in the metal scene. And that's when I was like, so there's something special here that for some reason the modern metal scene just fucking disregards, because they don't like trap. And I get why, because the lyrical content's always about money and bitches and cars and stuff. And so I got that, but I was like, the music here, there's something very special going on. So I started to get more into that, and I even did a video where it was like in 2020, where I experimented. I thought I almost didn't release the video because I was really scared it was just going to do shit and everyone was going to hate it. Where it was like metal musician tries to make a trap metal song, like really memely. And that video ended up doing really well. And
I remember that video.
Yeah, and I did it in like a meme context. I'd used all-star lyrics because I'm not a fucking lyricist or a vocalist. I don't know what I was doing. And people really liked it. It was like, they were like, dude, this kind of goes fucking hard. And I was like, I was confused because I was like, this goes against everything that all the logic I've learned about metal and elitism and stuff. And people were obviously the elitists can still fuck off and still hated it. But like, you know, it seemed acceptable. It's like, okay. So like I can do that and that's fun and that's easy. And kind of that was sitting in the back of my head then for like a year or two. And I was like, okay, like this is fun, like experimenting a bit more. And also I just want to get better at vocals in general for metal things, right? Like just for backing vocals, you know, and whatnot. So that combined with wanting to get better at vocals, combined with just seeing traps start to be infused in metal stuff more. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this approach of, and also combined with waiting for vocalists. Love all my vocalists I work with, big hearts. They take a long time. You know, and I was like, well, there's not, you know, there's nothing to do in this downtime, right? And so I'm like, fucking, like, I want to do something for myself, but I didn't feel like making an instrumental album yet, like a Nik Nocturnal fucking instrumental thing. Because I did that. That was the first thing I started with, and it was great, and I'll revisit it one day, but like, I want to save that. So I was like, let's do something where I can actually just practice vocals straight the fuck up was the concept. So let's do it in a memey way, because that's always how I approach new things, is in a memey way, because that's how I'm relatable to it, and that's how it's more fun, and I don't take it too seriously. So I made a community post at the end of 2020, I think, or 2021. I don't even remember. Where I was like, this is all the stuff I'm working on. Termina's in the works, doing a project with Phil from All Our Mains, doing rectangles with Jared Alonji. I'm doing fucking covers with Will Ramos, and I'm doing a trap metal meme project. And so I made that post. And I was going to do it. I already had some songs. One of them was called Copyright, where I do some fun references to like, you know, all my shit's getting claimed, so I need a Raid Shadow Legends ad, or I have to start selling feet pics on OnlyFans and like stuff like that, right? Like just like pure fun lyrics. I still have that song. I don't know if I'll ever release it, but I was like, and then what happened is Deadweight, my dude Eric Deadweight, who is Corpse's producer, actually saw that post because he's a fucking metalhead. Like he grew up in the scene and all that. Saw my post, or well, his friend did, and he told him. And he emailed me like, hey, I'm Corpse's producer. Like, I heard you're doing like trap metal stuff. Like, if you want to do some cool shit, let me know. And I thought it was a scam at first, because Corpse is one of the biggest trap metal dudes ever. Like, he come from the YouTube world, and now he's like, again, he has like 10 songs and fucking 4 million monthly listeners. Like, he's a big boy in the fish, right?
Yeah.
And he's killer. He makes great beats. And I was like, you're scamming me. Like, this is not you. So then, you know, I sent him like Copyright the song that I was just talking about. He was like, yeah, this is okay. This is kind of cool. The ideas are here. And we got talking, and I got talking with him. I'm like, oh, this is a real person. Like, this is actually like Corpse's producer, which is really cool. And we started working together, and we started working with like something scratched. So he sent me a beat, which was Isolation, the beat we ended up using for that. And I was like, dude, this is sick. Like, let's just try some stuff. I laid some heavy guitars. All the guitars in Nik Nock, by the way, are drop C1, so it's an octave below drop C. I'm using my 6th string in drop C, and then I'm using the pitch shifter an octave lower.
That was something I was going to ask you about, because I'm like, when I heard, I was like, this is like just unruly low.
yeah, it's very low. So we started messing with that, and I started with the meme approach again. And then as I was starting to write lyrical content for the meme approach, I was drawing like it was a bit tough, and then I had this chorus as soon as I heard it that was like isolation, what, you know, and I was like, oh, that's not really a memey chorus, but that's like what's driving all the rest of this writing. So then as we developed it more, and that song went through so many revisions, which is why what everyone says, it's like it's kind of like experimental. It's like, yeah, because it went through like 5 fucking revisions. It started as a meme song, and it ended up kind of being a serious song, which just like I tried not to do, because I'm you know, I like starting with memes and going through that, but like everything I tried, I was like, this is real now, because you know, it was just like my experience being in isolation, being a YouTuber, doing all this shit all my life, and you know, being at home all the time. I was like, okay, I guess like the lyrical content's real, but then I was like, okay, the image, there's no way. Like I'm, you know, we're going full fucking meme. Like I have the fake tattoos that my girlfriend draws on me with the Sharpie at the start, like the Nik Nxk.
I noticed that in the last video I saw it. I didn't say anything about it. I don't know why I didn't bring that up, but I noticed it. And I was like, I think in one part in the video, you can actually see like a random giggle. Like while I'm watching, I'm just like that's when I noticed it.
Well, that's the thing is like I was like, okay, well, I gotta do all the stereotypical things because that's how I acquaint myself usually with styles. Even like forget trap metal, all the stuff I've always done, like learning how to play math rock. Like I kind of take a meme approach, like do the things that people are always makes jokes about. And then I like actually learn about it properly through that. So I did the same thing, Nik. I did true Cvlt on my knuckles. I did a random fucking anime symbol that I don't even know what it meant from the internet and all this. And then I had like all my rings and shit again, pimping out.
Did you like put the brand of sacrifice on you and you didn't even know it?
Probably. Probably.
That would
I have
be
no fucking clue.
Funny.
So I did that, and then I filmed, and I was like, this is so fun. And again, just practicing vocals at that time, actually caring about the vocals. And it weirdly started to turn into, okay, my image is obviously memey as fuck. Like, it's just this fun. Like, this is Nik Nxk, right? This is a character. But the lyrics are pretty real. And, like, the instrumental. And that's the weird thing. I was like, well, I'm writing a song. I want to, like, make it sound good. Like, I don't want to sound like shit. So I ended up taking that seriously. And again, a lot of that even actually stemmed from working with Deadweight and hearing his production. I was like, your production's like, I mean, of course, he's Deadweight. He's the dude works, with the trap dudes. This is really good. So like, it was weird. It was really weird for me because I'm like, do we meme this or do we take this seriously? Because it's this awkward position.
Well,
right?
I think anybody that knows you knew going in just as well as I did. I was like, this may be a memey, jokey thing here, but it's gonna be fucking good production. Like, I don't think anybody doubted that the production side of it was gonna be good and taken seriously.
That's because that's the thing. Even with memes, I take memes seriously, which is kind of weird, right? But that's why everything everyone says is like, I don't really know if he's serious. I get because the origin of everything was not serious. It was never supposed to be. But then, like I said, lyrics ended up kind of being serious. Then the music ended up kind of being serious, but then the outfit was the meme, obvious Nik is in character. So we released that, and it was cool. I was like, wow, not too bad for a fucking trap metal thing that, got thrown out there. And I was like, it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then immediately we just, again, like Termina is also in the works while we were doing this and all this other stuff. I was like, all right, let's start the next one. And just started with a riff idea, like that beginning chorus riff, da-da-da-da-da, like very Meshuggah-y, folly, jaunty, kind of crazy shit. And we just had a concept right away when we started doing that. We literally were doing this over Discord, like going back and forth. Like I would write the riff, he wrote the beat. Okay, what's the next part? Like, it was like very like lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's make the first ever Thal trap song. Okay. like makes no sense. It goes up against all of the rules, but that's where I was like, Leo, let's play to our strengths. I'm the modern metal, whatever fucking dude that's very into all the modern metal stuff. You're the trap guy. Let's make modern metal trap because that's actually not something that has been done before because trap is trap metal, right? But you don't hear Thal in trap metal. You don't even hear metalcore really in trap metal that often. It's very rare, right? Which is cool because trap metal's old, but they're developing to adding more metal now into their stuff. But they're developing at the 2000s, right? Metal, whereas metal is taking the trap stuff and realizing all the older trap stuff, not knowing that it's old, and adding it to the modern stuff. So it's like both of these scenes are kind of starting to build off the history of the metal scene and the history of the trap scene, and then growing it together slowly. So we're just like, instead of starting all the way back here, let's just start here. Let's just start modern with both, and that's it, right? So we did Thal trap, and when it came to lyrics, that's the thing that takes me the most because I'm not a fucking lyricist. Anyway, I'm like, while we're talking, we just talk about the industry and shit like that, and how fucked up it is, and I'm like, what? Fuck, I'm just to talk about the industry because this is like what I see. This is what I see all the fucking day. With the biggest concept being like one of the saddest things being, I see every time some of the most talented people, talented homies ever, like throughout all these years of doing what I do, just get fucked over. They're so talented and they never actually can reach the potential where their art that is beautiful and unique can actually shine because they get in their own way. The industry maybe in some way fucks them, or people take advantage of them. Because they don't know maybe the business sense, and then whatever happens, and even in modern days, working with a lot of just seeing how everything is unfolded and seeing the behind the scenes more than ever, I was like, this should not be normal. Like, you know, coming from the content creator world where I felt like I had a unique perspective where this was not normal in the content creator perspective. You're an individual and that's how it goes. Right?
Real quick, my thought on the music industry currently, I think the big problem is a lot of the people that are in the business side of the music industry have lost their love of the actual music and art and are more focused on the actual business. And I've talked about this with other artists too. And like, that's why it blows my mind when I have label people that tell me about bands that aren't theirs. I was like, because usually every label is pitching you their bands. Like, like I remember the first time I talked to, you know, my contact over at Metal Blade. He was like, by the way, dude, if you've never checked out Leprous, you got to check out that band. And I was like, that's not one of your bands. I was like, that's not one of your bands, is it? He goes, no, they're just fucking awesome. And I was like, damn. I'm like, that hasn't happened much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Usually these labels are just pitching you their stuff. It's very rare that I actually meet somebody that's like, check this out because it's really good, and it's not even one of their bands that they're going to make anything off.
Yes, exactly.
And that's I feel like I trust people way more when that shit happens. Yeah. When somebody at a label starts telling me about music they like that's not one of their signed bands, I'm like, okay, this person legitimately loves music, and I'm actually can like trust what they say more than a lot of other people.
Yeah, that's the thing is like that's why even that song is not directed at anyone specific. It's directed at that this is this norm of how the industry is run and how artists it's just accepted that like you're a metal musician, you won't make money. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, even dude, it's so funny just going into this learning and even realizing like actual label contract splits and how the usual ones are. And I was always like, oh yeah, it favors the artist, right? No, what are you talking about? Like, it's none of this. Labels basically a lot of time act as banks, and they do great things. And some bands sure need labels because they need the funding and they need direction, all that, right? It wasn't a dig at that and labels doing cool stuff when bands need them to do it. It was just a dig at all the generic set norms that are, some of them are archaic. And it's like, we're in the modern age where a lot of artists, like if you have a little bit of business sense and you know how to fucking upload through DistroKid, you can make 100% of your royalty. It's like,
and dude, one of those things that I hate that like, that's why my band, we never signed with anybody, right? Because we had a couple offers, but like the deals we were getting were those 360 deals where we're like, fuck that. And it's like, I'll say right now, I love this band, but I think Korn, like pioneering that first 360 deal with their label, was the fucking worst thing that could have ever happened for the metal music industry, dude. Because now it's become a normal thing where all these bands are signing 360 deals, and it's a lot to explain. And for anybody listening that doesn't know what a 360 deal is, it basically just means that the label has massive hands in everything you do. They take a percentage of every single thing that you do. You sell a t-shirt, label gets a cut. You get royalties, label gets a cut. You make money on tour, label gets a cut. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, man. It's again, a lot of sometimes the standards that have been set in that specific capacity and in various other ways. And again, then there's the YouTuber side. I approached it with like dealing with publishers and how like just a lot of things are unorganized. And I'm just like, it's frustrating. And it's like, wow, like this is how this is all going. And again, it's not dig. I work with a bunch of labels on my side, and it's great. They come to me and promote their bands a lot of the time. Be like, hey Nick, we got a new song, you want to check it out on your Friday? Like, yeah. And a lot of amazing people I know that work at these labels, and they're gems of human beings, and all they want genuinely is for their bands to succeed, and they love music and all that. But I was just like, this is fucked, and it's like, let's go, like, fuck it, this is what I wanted to throw down. So I was worried at the same time, but at the same time I wasn't, because I was just like, who cares? Like, what are people gonna do? Like,
what's the worst thing that's happened is like, the funniest part is when the song came out, you know just as well as I do, when we try and do reactions, we try and stay away from opinions and headlines until we film a reaction. But it was hard. I actually saw like new articles popping up from like Loudwire and Blabbermouth and shit that are like, Nik Nocturnal takes shot at the music industry in new single, and I'm like, oh man.
I was like, sick. Well, that's the thing with me is like, go for it. Like, let's whatever makes you want to pitch it more, whatever wants to get people into to check out the song. Like, I don't really care in that sense, because the people I work with in the industry who are really good people, they know who I am. They know how I work with them. They know I respect them, and they respect me back. And that's why they know, like, if they watch something like that, that it's like, oh, whoa, wait, Nick fucking hates me. It's like, no, right?
Dude, it's the same. We work with a lot of the same people. I mean, that's just exactly. And a lot of reactors do. And I think those people know me as well because, you know, my viewers and my friends on Discord know that, like, when I get heated about something, oftentimes on Twitch I go off on fucking rants about shit, and like I've actually had those label people get a hold of me and were like, I actually liked how you did that, because they know I'm not taking shots at them. They know I'm just talking about a broad sense. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things too, you're never going to please everybody, and no matter what you put out or what you do, somebody somewhere is going to find a negative on it. And I'm sure, like, you know, you've seen that. And like recently with me, I had Chris Bowes from Ailstorm on a podcast episode.
Right.
I'm aware of what happened with the text messages that got leaked with Glory Hammer and shit like that. And like, in my head, it's like, okay, it got reported. He released a statement on it. He's done interviews about it. He's talked about it. It's fucking over and done. Like, what more could he say on my podcast about that situation that already hasn't been said? Mm-hmm. So I didn't bring it up. I was like, I'm just going to have a good conversation with this guy. I'm going to give him a couple hours where he doesn't have to worry about dealing with any of the shit he's been dealing with for the last year. I got fucking slammed for that. People were like, I'm so disappointed in you that you didn't fucking put this guy on the spot. And I'm like, what more can I bring up? Like, you're never going to please everybody that sees your content, whether it's music or YouTube or anything.
You won't. It is how it is, and that's something I've accepted a long time ago. So that's why I'm just like, yo, if it's fun and it has that meaning, and that's why, again, with industry, I was like I was like, this is not a call out at anyone specific, because there's a lot of things that are so fucked up that goes on, like specific things, and I'm just like, nah, man, like, let's make this general kind of sense of what kind of is behind the curtains without pulling them back fully, you know, that kind of thing. That also makes you curious of like, oh, what is going on there, just to, you know, take a look. So that's really where all that lyrical content came from. I just thought it was like let's fucking go. It fit the song. It fit the anger of the song.
It was perfect. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
No, seriously, dude. I'm not just saying that. Like, I mean, compared to how I took Isolation to this one was, I wouldn't say night and day, but it was a lot different. It was like, wow, like I hear a lot in this. And I'm sure there's recent events that have happened to you that got into those lyrics too. Cause it's like, I know for sure when you released the cover with Will, like, that was all original. Like, you did all the fucking musical shit in that. It was Will singing. And I know that video still got hit with copyrights. It
was published. It's like, that wasn't that was like one of the 1/100th of the reasons out of all, you know what I mean, that were all like looped together of just things I've seen over these years. And again, coming from that different perspective, I'm a content creator. These are not norms. Whereas you talk to a lot of musicians and they talk to each other and it's like, oh yeah, this is just what happens. And it's like normal. And that's really that approach. I'm like, coming into this is like, what the fuck? No, this shouldn't be normal. Like, how is this normal? This is not okay. Dude, how this all works.
The same thing that is considered normal in, like, for musicians, it happens to roadies and techs and stuff too.
Right.
So, like, for example, there's tours that you may get offered where, you know, almost every tour I've ever been on, per diem is a normal thing. Per diem is the amount of money that you get paid while you're traveling that's non-taxed. You get like $25 a day per diem for every day that you're away from home. And then there's some tours that have stopped doing that. They don't pay per diem anymore. And all these roadies have just been like, well, this is just the way it is. And I'm like, it's not, though. It's literally like, this is not the way it should be. And then there's other little things that happen too, where that's why I just like, I think industry struck a chord, because I was like, there are all these things that all of a sudden are just fucking normal for everybody that absolutely shouldn't be.
Yeah. And then as soon as I even started seeing this shift of like, again, because I wasn't part of the music industry for the longest time. I was the fucking dumbass content creator stealing everyone's content. Right. And then as soon as obviously the pandemic hit, and then it's like, oh, labels come to me now. No, wait, I'm the dude. Wait, why am I a part of the fucking marketing team now indirectly? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay. You know, I start to see kind of more what goes on and what happens. And again, love working with the people I work with, love working with the bands. They're blessings. They're incredible to work with. And it's not directed at them. It's just directed at like, wow, there's a lot of things I see that I'm like, people talk about like it's nobody's business. Like, yeah, this is just what goes on. Like, oh yeah, next day, oh yeah, day after, you know, like, and it's just like, wait a second, what happened? Like, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is a normal day. Where I was like, this is fucked. So that's kind of where the lyrical content came in. And yeah, thing with isolation too is like, what I love about doing the single stuff, and I do it with Termina too, to a point. It's a little harder because Termina is more like multiple songs finished and then release a single. Nik Nxk is we're going one at a time. Yeah. So it's like, we listen to isolation. I got feedback instantly. R&D is what I thought of it as. Yeah. Perfect R&D. More riffs, more heavy, make vocals more prominent, more trap. Okay, next song. I'm gonna make it more heavy, make vocals more prominent, more trap. You know what I mean? And same thing with this. Like, I got some cool feedback with this where I'm like, okay, like, let's keep building, because I you know, it's not like I release a song, it's like, oh, we're good now. It's like, no, I want to learn from what people aren't as a fan of and learn what does work and build off that as the foundation for the next one, and then learn from that one and learn more and more until it reaches like, okay, this makes sense now. This is what we're doing, and this is the best package I could provide in this sense.
So vocally, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I heard this, but I could be mistaken. Have you done vocal lessons with Mark from Cardivox or somebody else?
So I've taken like 1 or 2 vocal lessons with like a lot of different people. Okay, so that's cool. Because that's what I like to do. Is I like to I same thing with how I learn a lot of things nowadays. Like I understand how to learn. Even that skill is a development over time of how to learn a new instrument even, right? And I do that, and I get obsessive over it, which is really cool, right? That's a good trait, and sometimes can be bad, but usually for me, it's a good trait of how I get obsessive over learning something. So I like to get different perspectives more so when I take lessons, instead of just like, all right, every week on Friday, like, let's do another lesson, because like I can do the reps myself, but I need to get through the psychological aspect of why is this working, why is this not. So that's where talking to all these different vocal teachers and taking like a lesson or 2 from them each has really helped me understand
different perspective.
Yes, and where they overlap, where it's like, oh, okay, this is where it all comes together and makes sense together with all these different perspectives. So it started with me obviously just messing around over like years and doing
as
whisper screams.
Yeah.
And then David hit me up from what's that thing he does? David from they do the funny Animu like metal and stuff like that. Riff Shop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he was doing his screaming stuff. He was like, hey man, like, I'm doing this course, like I'm willing to like train you for like whatever, a couple weeks, and you know, to use you as kind of like hey, like, this is how it could work, right? Like, and as long as you're okay with filming. I was like, yeah, sure. So I did that, and I give him credit for getting me more into it, and he definitely got me to light a fire of like, oh, I want to do this. So he kind of got me past like just the opening the gate. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Let's actually take lessons from some people. So like Lucas Magyar has helped me from Veil of Maya. Mary from Voice Hacks, I did a lesson with her. She's great. Cardivox, Mark from Cardivox, did a lesson with him. He's great. Lauren Babbage from, Andy as well. Andy has helped.
I was going to say, you have a great vocal teacher right there. Like,
exactly. So, but they all have different perspectives and takes on how they do this stuff. So it was a lot of me asking questions, because I'm very curious of how my voice works to get the sounds I want to emulate, but knowing that I can't emulate some based on how my voice works, right? So it's like, where are the long-term limits and where can I aim for now? Because that's how I work, through emulation, seeing something and trying to emulate it. And I'm like, wait, am I trying to emulate it wrong? Or is it just, I can't, right? Like, where is the actual like limitations versus where is the technique and sucking limitations, right? Yeah. So that's really helped me a lot, going through all that, and then just actually taking time and fucking practicing. Like, I'll try to do every couple days, half an hour to an hour, sitting here, listening to songs I really like, that I know the lyrics, and just screaming over them. That's really all I do.
It's vocals are fun. Like,
yes,
for years, like you, I always sang along with stuff. I did backing vocals in my band. I did like, clean harmonies and screams and stuff. Right. But as I've listened to more and more and I've got older and older, I've started trying new things and discovering that I can make different sounds.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm actually like right now kind of working on like my first actual vocal cover that I want to actually release, because I'm a self-conscious asshole. Like, no matter what I do, I think it's going to sound terrible. It's the same reason you don't see me doing a lot of like bass playthroughs and stuff on and my bass covers on YouTube have done well. Like, the last one I did Are You Dead Yet by Children of Bodom, and people were like, fuck yeah, dude, like, you need to keep doing this. And I'm self-conscious about it. I don't know why. And especially with vocals. So I did a lesson with Mark from Cardivox, and I had this mistaken impression that this was going to be like, I'm going to do one lesson and he's going to teach me how to scream better. And it's like, dude, we didn't do any screaming. Actually, we did right when we started. He's like, I just want to hear what you can do.
Yeah.
So he goes, give me a low, give me just a scream, you know, and then give me a guttural. And then the whole rest of the lesson, he literally taught me how to breathe correctly.
Oh,
and I'm just like,
yes.
What? Like,
yes.
It's like we're sitting here and he's like, telling me how to focus breathing and stuff. And I'm like, God, I never even thought about any of this stuff. Like,
yes.
And then when I told him, like you said, emulating people, I told Mark, I was like, I don't think I've ever been able to find my own voice. Yes. I'm really good at mimicking other people. And he goes, but that's how every musician and vocalist discovers their own thing. Yeah. They pick these influences that they like, they mimic it, and then they start adapting their own stuff into it. And I was like, oh, that's a really good point. Like,
yeah. Fucking when it came to breathing, I forgot to mention Tom from Chelsea Grin. I had a lesson with him, and that was all. He went with that. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, like hardcore on that. But dude, that's exactly it. And it's so funny because I'm an idiot, and of course I had to pick one of the harder vocalists to emulate. But I was like, as soon as I started screaming, I tried to do Adrian from North Lane.
Oh Jesus!
So his lows, which are actually just Phil Bozeman lows, right? Like that's who he's emulating. So I didn't realize that I was jumping straight into Philly B Lyfe, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I started with. So it's really funny. The first thing I refined was that low thing, and that's why even in Nik Nxk, that's actually my main scream is the low. I'm actually most comfortable there, which is really weird, right?
That's what I'm most comfortable with too.
Right. Yeah. And then when I try to do, and it's kind of fucked me up because now when I try to do like, let's say the high fry stuff, like Under Oath, old school, like post-hardcore, like that pterodactyl-y kind of sounding shit, that's where it fucked me up the most. Because that, like, especially I have a deeper voice, it's like trying to get all the way up there. I'm like, either I stretch from like my chest and try to go higher, like my chest voice, or I start in my head voice, but then it sounds like a little baby. And I'm like, okay. And actually talking to all these different people, realizing, oh, it is the somewhere in between that I'm supposed to aim to get stuff like that. But it is also just tougher out of my range. So that's why even with that, like when I try to go higher, I'm straining. You can hear the strain a bit, but like I'm comfy. My vocal cords are completely fucking fine. Yeah. But that's where I started is like the lows. And it's like, I guess that's kind of cool because like you get the deathcore sound, but at the same time, I'm just like, that's literally just all I can do.
Like, yeah, and that's kind of what I default to because when I was growing up, when I was trying to like do vocals, I was mimicking guys like Burton from Fear Factory and stuff that really like, and like Jamie from Hatebreed and
yeah.
So like, it was just so wild talking to Mark because I, you know, when I first screamed for Mark, you know, he's like, the thing that I listen for first is to feel to hear if it feels like you're damaging yourself.
Yeah.
And he goes, the good thing is there's nothing about your screams I've heard that sounds like you're damaging anything or doing it wrong. But he goes, it kind of sounds forced. Does that make sense? And I was like, yeah, because I've always felt that. Every time I scream, I feel like it's like I'm exerting more effort than I need to. That's why it blows my fucking mind when I see like all the vocal covers we've seen from Will. When I watch it, I'm like, he is so relaxed and so controlled. And I was like, how the fuck is this possible? And it's not just Will, like he's not the be all end all. There's other vocalists that are exactly the same. But when I do watch a guy like Will, like when he did all the vocal covers of the Lorna Shore EP.
Yeah.
And like literally when he's doing his vocals, it looks like he's sitting here just talking as casually as we are right now. And I'm just like, this is fucking insanity, dude.
Yeah. It's a lot more on technique than I ever realized. Like, it's just like, it's an art form to do techniques and to twist, you know, to control muscles inside of your body that you don't think of ever controlling. And it's a lot of psychology, like getting in your head and like understanding and having the confidence to do it and knowing where you're doing and getting that trigger of like, oh, I did. Well, nope, not going to do it that way. Nope. I know that was about to start hurting right there. So let's, you know, tone it back and knowing where your limits are. And he just like, again, when you do that for that long, and he's just fucking incredible at what he does. It's like, it's just a technique to him. He just does it like, you know.
He really is, dude. And I hate right now. And I saw you and Finn talking about it on your Twitch stream, and I've talked about it with people. It's like Lorna Shore in the past year has started exploding in popularity to the point where they're like suffering from success. It's like all the elitists and all the fucking dudes are like, they're just trying to shit on him for no reason. So every time somebody praises Will, there's always like 5 assholes on the internet. They're like, he's not that good. I'm like, he really fucking is though.
He really is that good.
Like, dude, you can't, they're like, other people do what he does. I'm like, yes, that's true. There are other vocalists that can do that, but not fucking many, dude. Yeah. I've been listening to metal since I was 8 years old. My first introduction to metal was actually the Mortal Kombat original movie soundtrack.
Yes, dude, let's go.
Like Fear Factory, Napalm Death, fucking Typo Negative,
That's sick.
And you know, I've been listening to all different genres of metal since then.
Right.
In my opinion, Will is a rarity. Like there are other vocalists that I love that do shit like that. I mean, you've got Jesus Christ, why am I blanking out on names right now? Well, okay, first of all, one of the more popular ones that always gets brought up, Dickie Allen. Dickie Allen does crazy shit.
Dickie's fucking wild.
But then you've also got Travis Ryan from Cattle Decap, OG with metal vocal styles like that. Like, so there are other people that do it, but you know, when I see people that are like, he's not that impressive, there's other people that can do it, like he sounds like everybody else. I'm like, I know for the most part people have subjective opinions on everything, but I'm like, you can't subjectively sit here or objectively sit here and tell me that he's not that good.
You are wrong.
Yeah, like
there you go.
It really is that fucking good. And you know, Lorna Shore in general, everybody in that band is just fucking stupid good. And you know, a lot of people like to blame their popularity, or not blame, but attribute their popularity right now to Will alone. I highly disagree with that. I've said many times that I feel like this is one of those scenarios where you see a band that has had member changes, but all of a sudden you have found the perfect puzzle pieces of people that are tailored to be in that band together.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is special about that. But going back again, the comfortability and the relaxation in vocalists like Will when they sing, it's maddening. And then like the video Elizabeth just did with Will where they shoved the camera down his fucking throat. I was like I know nothing about vocals at all. Like, but watching that video, I was like, this is insane. And then seeing one of the top vocal scientists in the world being shocked about some of the stuff he saw, like when Will's vocal cords were like going like asymmetrical and turning and shit. He goes
twisting and shit.
He goes, I can't say that nobody else can do that, but he's like, I've never seen it. I'm like, that's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like that guy has studied people all over the world and he's never seen that.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely making this new meta of like, oh, here's what vocalists can do. So like now vocalists have like, it's like it's fun seeing the evolution. And I feel like with vocalists, it usually takes the longer one. Like guitarists already, like if you can't play both tech death and jazz math rock, like you're just like shit. You know what I mean? Like you're right. It's just like, and same thing with bassists and drummers. If you can't be a death metal drummer and a jazz classical funk drummer at the same time, you're just not reaching the quota of like some of the best better drummers, right? So I feel like with vocals, it's been taking a little longer because it's like, well, first it was just obviously clean singing, which was great, and then it was adding a little grit to the clean singing, you know, for old school rock and heavy metal, right? And then screaming became a thing, and it was like, oh, what the fuck is this? But it was only one scream, right? Then it was like, oh, let's do a low. What the fuck's a low? Oh, what's a high? You know, and now it's like the new meta is, oh, you got to be a screamer that can do highs, mids, and lows. And now it's like, you got to be able to clean sing everything, scream with high, lows, mids, and with different techniques, and with tunnel throats, and with all this shit, and with different placements, and be a good lyricist. And it's like, oh, that amped up really fucking fast. And stuff like this, like the videos that Elizabeth does, and like just incredible vocalists like Will, Dickie, fucking Alex Terrible, just set this new precedent of you can do this. And especially I love watching Elizabeth's video and being like, yeah, your vocal cords are actually better than actual normal people in general, like healthier. And it's like, oh, I guess we got to up our game now. You know, like vocalists will look at that and be like, fuck, now I have to do this. You know,
I love how in like the last 10 years for me as a metalhead, the stigma has gone from screaming takes no talent to now everybody's like, it, like they're looking at it like it does take a lot of talent and technique, which I appreciate so much, because I can't tell you how many times as a kid, like I was a metalhead in school, and like you know, all these fucking asshole kids in high school and middle school that, you know, the popular kids that didn't get into metal are like, it's just noise, it doesn't take talent, like anybody can do that, it's screaming so easy. I was like, yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you, dude.
Like, do you have any vocals on the new Termina stuff?
I do.
Do you? Yeah.
I have backings. Yeah, because well, that's the thing. It's like, yo, you got a fucking Lambo over here. Like, I'm gonna not throw my fucking Toyota ass on. Like, you know, it's like I'll throw the Toyota when the Lambo's getting gas. That's basically what's happening, right? Yeah. So like, that's kind of what's it's really cool. And again, I'm very grateful that Andy's down with it. To a point. Again, I'm not like everywhere. Like, Andy's the vocalist, and that's what he does. I'm the instrumentalist. That's what I do, right? But at the end of this song coming out July 8th, actually, by the way, new Termina July 8th.
Single or album?
Single.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not gonna just fucking drop an album, dude. That's the thing. I'm not gonna work fucking 2 years on the whole thing and then drop it all at once, and then it's gonna be fucking dead after 2 weeks. Like, nah, man, I'm gonna milk the fuck out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be a rollout, okay? But at the end, at the chorus, to amp up the chorus to really make it like another huge, you know, the last chorus is always extra in some capacity. I'm doing echoes of what Andy's saying as screams and backgrounds. That's kind of what I'm doing, and it's just cool as that element. Again, I was just like, you sure, man? Because like, you're the vocalist. Like I you know, sure. Like I can do my part. Like I said, a Toyota will get you there. It'll do the job, right?
I have a Toyota. They're great.
Yeah, exactly, right? But you were fucking Lambo, bro. Like, you cool with that? And he's like, yeah, like, go. And I'm very thankful whenever a project that has a vocalist that I'm working with is like, yeah, like, try it, like, do it. Like, and I'm like, oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate that opportunity, you know, because like, I don't need to do this. I don't need the ego boost of like, oh, I can do vocals now, I'm gonna be everywhere, right? Like, I don't fucking need that. I'm doing my own vocal random dumb shit, right? So yeah, I did some backings on the first one, and it sounded cool. It was really cool to just like go back and forth with Andy. It made it feel very special, you know, in that sense, on a different level than just me like, I'm the instrumentalist and Andy's the vocalist, and like, you know, we blend together and we have the chemistry. It was like, oh, this cool like added layer of like us doing almost duets together. It's cool. It's like weirdly musically intimate.
yeah, for sure.
Right?
Where does Andy live? Generally, like
Maryland.
Okay.
I think.
So my question that I was going to lead into from that was, did you work on any of this in the same room together, or was this all remote, sending it to each other and shit?
I've met Andy once in my life.
No way.
Yeah, I've been once in my life. We filmed Lucid, their first song, which was in Toronto, because he was just visiting anyways for something else.
Yeah.
I was like, you want to film music video while you're here? That would be good. He was like, hey, that was the first time I ever met him. That's the only time I've ever met him in my whole life.
So wait, for the music video for Desolate Spectre, then
I went outside where there was grass. Andy went in the forest. Patrick did the rest.
So you guys weren't together. That's
none of the videos we were together.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Patrick Lawler, he's a god. He's a videographer. Like, he's the go-to. He's worked with fucking Polyphia. He did Korn, Black is the Soul. He did As I Dying video, or worked on it a little bit. He's just done a lot of stuff, and he's really cool. And he's like into all the new stuff, right? So that's what I love. And even this new video, we are using AI generated art for everything. So it's like green screen, but like, dude, the art is fucked. Like, I had to ask Patrick 10 different times, you made this, right? Because no, like I disbelieve that a computer created this, because all artists are about to be out of a job in a sad way, like graphic artists, because this is fucked, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah, man, this is all just like, you put Nik Nocturnal, you put sad, you put whatever, and it just does it. I'm like, no, like, this is actual, like, one of the pieces he got from that is actually the single artwork that we have coming, because it was that good. We were like, no, like, this is fucked. Like, this is professional shit that people charge $300 for like to do artwork with. He's like, yeah, I got like a whole folder.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Dude, what you can do with computers now is mind-blowing. Like, one of my favorite things, I wonder when it's going to get to the point where, like, I don't think musicians themselves will ever be obsolete, but some of the AI stuff now, like, one of my favorite things ever, we listened to this on like a whole stream once because it was so stupid.
Right.
They fed an AI all of Archspire's discography. And
did it just crash?
And basically told this this AI to just come up with music.
Right.
It's a 24/7 stream. You could go to it right now. It's a 24/7 stream where this fucking computer AI just comes up with like tech death, but it uses the sounds that it learned from Archspire, so it mimics Ollie's voice, but it's not making words. It's just like, it literally kind of just sounds like noise. But it's sometimes, there were a couple times when we were listening, for the majority of the time it does sound like garbage, but then there's a couple times where we're listening, we're like, holy shit, that fucking rips. Like, it's, dude, I wonder when we're going to get to the point where there's going to be AI bands. Like, literally.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's VR streamers. I think there's going to be AI bands. I don't think that's far off. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can be a SoundCloud trap rapper before then, so I can't get replaced. But yeah, like, it's fucking wild what computers can do. So like, that's the new music, and it's, you know, all that stuff. But when it comes to all our other videos, that's you see this white thing here? Yeah. So I stand in front of that before I had the fucking Displate stuff. Shout out to Displate. They're not paying me for that anymore, but they should. Just stand in front of a white fucking wall. Andy did the same thing in Florida, Maryland, whatever he was at the time. You hit the film button on this thing called an iPhone, and then we sent it to Patrick, and he made a music video professional.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we use iPhones, by the way, to shoot our shit.
Amazing. Well, I mean,
fucked.
Let's be real here. It sounds funny saying that out loud. But the cameras and iPhones are pretty fucking great nowadays.
They're dummy thick.
Like,
yeah.
I if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to like make it sound like he's not trying, but I think Galactic Criminal does all of his YouTube videos with an iPhone.
Good. I would do it too if it was if I had a filming phone, right? That's the thing. I need my phone. Like, I don't want to fucking I don't want to kind of multitask sometimes. So it's like, I need to see, oh shit, the emergency, right? I don't want it to be like on my camera emergency.
Or like you're like filming a reaction with your iPhone and fucking alerts and shit start popping up, and like
exactly.
It's so funny because I'm like looking at my setup right now and it's like, I have like this fucking new camera. Yeah, dude, and it's so funny because I had been using a Logitech, the C922.
The C920, dude,
longest time, dude. I stretched it out as long as I could. And now I bought this fucking nice camera that looks good, and I finally have color in my shit. Right. And I was editing a podcast episode the other day that I filmed right before I got this camera, and now that I'm using this new camera, I'm like, this looks like shit. Like, this doesn't even look fucking acceptable. And even one of my Discord mods that I sent the podcast to already was like, dude, I'm like looking back and forth between your cameras, and he's like, the color definition on his camera is so good, and then when you look at yours, it looks so bad. I'm like, like,
I had the same thing with my videos too, just looking back, and like now I do 4K everything, and I'm like, wow, like this should be normal.
I'm still going 1080, but whatever.
It's bad. You don't need, people don't need 4K, honestly.
The reason I don't, going off of what you just said, the reason I don't is because our tour videographer I had on one of my last tours, one of the most talented dudes I've ever worked with, and he knows so much about camera and filming. He straight up told me, he goes, for doing reaction videos and shit, dude, he goes, nobody on YouTube is going to give a shit if your stuff is in 4K or 1080. Yep. Nobody's going to fucking care. Yep. So that's why true. I kind of just stick to the 1080, you know.
Yeah, but it makes the most sense.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, but, dude, technology's fucked. It's fucking crazy.
And one of the reasons I got this new camera too is because, you know, going out on tour later this year, Electric Callboy's management has been nice enough to basically tell me, like, you can film vlogs. Like,
nice.
That's kind of, like, we know that's kind of your thing. So like, if you want to stream while you're working on guitars, or you want to film content, you know, for backstage roadie vlogs, whatever, that's cool. So I went out and bought this nice camera, and I got a pretty good fucking setup. Like, I bought a microphone for it, and I've got like a fucking tripod and all that shit.
Nice.
Like, pretty excited to do that. But I look around my room now and I think of all the fucking dumb shit that I bought over the last couple of years doing YouTube. Like, because when I first started out, like I said, I had the like no audio interface, just a fucking cheap USB mic that, you know, one of those like $20 versions of this that you get on YouTube that really just sucks.
Yeah.
And like a webcam. And then over the last couple of years, I've been upgrading. But what I mistakenly did was, rather than saving my money and upgrading to what I really wanted, I'd slowly progress.
Right.
So like the first audio interface I bought was the Scarlett from Focusrite, which pretty good, but compared to what I'm using now, absolute shit. And then I've gone through like 3 microphones before I got this one.
What you have an SM7B?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, same thing.
Oh, it's the microphone. Yeah.
This is the last microphone that you'll ever need for anything like this.
And vocals too, most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that are doing vocal stuff with this now. Like, it's rare that you would see it in live. Like, I can't personally.
Well, because it's awkward to hold too. It's like, it's,
I can't say I've ever seen anybody truly use this like live on tour or anything. Most of the time it's, the whole band gets an SM58 and the singer gets a better version.
It's the better version.
Yeah. But
as with everything else in the band, the singer gets the better version. Yes.
But it's like I'm finally at a point after 2 years of doing this YouTube stuff where I don't think I really need to upgrade anything anymore.
Yeah.
I have a good camera. I have a good fucking microphone. Like I'm stoked on it.
I get I don't know if you can relate to this. I get anxious if I own too many things and I don't use them. Like I literally same thing with guitars. Like if I have too many like guitars there and I'm just like, because it's always there. It's like I'm not using this. Why is this even here?
I started getting that feeling recently because I have 3 of my old basses on the wall, right? And then I have 3 electric guitars down here. Mm-hmm. No joke, dude. I haven't touched any of them in months.
Right.
And the other day I was sitting back here and I was like, why the fuck are these even still here? Like, I can't remember the last time I actually used them.
Dude, I've done sponsored videos for like Real Gear and stuff where I'm literally like, they're like, well, yeah, the gear's included. You have to keep it, right? Because they don't want to ship it back. And I'm like, can I ship it back? Because like I don't want it just sitting here. Like,
I'm never going to use it.
Yeah, like I'll use it a little, which is cool, and like the video will be cool, and again, it's a good product, and that's why I have it. But at the same time, I'm like, it's like I'm gonna. It's such a rare thing. Like even things like playing live, right? Like I had the fucking Sennheiser, the best ones, and I did a sponsor video for them. I'm like, these are literally the best things to use while playing live. That's sick. I play live like once every 5 years, so like it's like. They're great, and if I ever play live, like that's the thing. But also, like I know it's there, and it makes me anxious knowing that I'm not going to be using it for a little bit.
Dude,
as well. So
I have so much gear, man. Like I have so much gear that I'm probably realistically never going to use again. Like if I move, people that are listening on Spotify and stuff won't see this, but
right.
That rack down there,
yes,
that was my old touring rack from when I was in a band.
Right,
and I've got an Ampeg SVT 4 Pro. My wireless system, like a sonic maximizer, a power conditioner.
Right.
Those haven't been used in fucking 10 years.
Damn.
Like, and it's like, in my mind, it's like, I could sell these.
Yes.
But at the same time, what if I need them again?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever will need them again, but that's the conflict in my head. It's like, I want to sell shit, but it's like, man, I might need it.
My thing is not I might need it. It's I don't want to go through the sketchiness of finding some random dude on fucking Craigslist to sell this to and then go and like do the whole thing and hope I get paid. That's like my big thing. Actually.
Yeah.
It's like actually doing the transaction. So I'm just like, I guess it's better just letting it sit there for now and losing value.
That's fucking funny. So you probably like I watch other streamers like you probably fucking get anxiety if you see like Herman Lee streaming and see his 60 guitars in the back. Like, dude, his fucking room looks like a goddamn guitar center. Yes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like even with like green screens, like I had a big green screen at one point. I was like, I hate this because I was to put it back and back, and then I got the like Elgato thing, which is like $200 that you just zoom, done, perfect. Even though I could use a bigger green screen, I'm like, no, it's gonna make me anxious. Just fucking that's the good size, and I'm good, and I never want to go away. But yeah, dude, Herman's setup, like just so many streamers have such crazy setups, and I'm just like, you want some slip newt? It's there. That's what I got for you.
Yeah, and it's like. My wife and I are looking at moving right now, and we've been looking at houses. Like we're just ready to get out of the city. Like we've each lived in Nashville for like 12 years at this point. It's a great city. It's starting to become unbearably expensive with all the people moving here. So we're like, let's get out of here a little ways. So, and now that we have a kid, we're thinking about other things like schools and stuff like that. And the schools in Nashville, the public schools, are fucking terrible. Like on the school ratings that you look online, they always rate schools between like just 1 and 10, like it's a fucking album or something.
It's 2 out of 10. Would not recommend. Not good. Listen.
Most of the public schools in Nashville are like 2 or 3 out of 10. So we're like, there's a suburb like 45 minutes away called Clarksville, And we've been looking at places there. All the schools are fucking good. They're rated like 7 or 8 or higher out of 10. And money-wise, you can get a really good bang for your buck. And our house in Nashville, we could, like, the Nashville prices are so bad, we could sell our house right now for probably a pretty good profit.
Right.
And only be able to afford something smaller than this.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So we're looking to go the other direction because we can get a bigger house. And one of the things I was thinking of was we're looking to get like a house that has an office space for me to do all this stuff and stuff like that. And I was like, in one of the corners of my room, I just want to paint fucking lime green, like a 4-foot section.
Yes, because I would have done that if this wasn't a fucking closet. Actually, yes. So you can just green screen forever.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that for any time I wanted to do green screen rather than buy something. Because I actually saw somebody do that. I was watching somebody's YouTube video the other day, and I noticed like off camera, like you could see a little of it on camera. I was like, why the fuck is that? Just why is their room painted like white and then there's just green? Oh, it's a fucking green screen. Like they painted a green screen. Yeah. Genius.
Yes.
Like
that's the way to go. It just makes things I'm all like, I hate setting things up. That's why I hate getting new things. I'm a fucking weirdo, dude. Like if I get new gear or stuff, I get anxious, like I said, because like now I have to learn about this. I have to set it up. I have to spend time dealing with this thing, that the enjoyment I get from getting something new is just gone at that point. So it's like, I like being like, I know when I even like a Zoom call like this, I know like I press the camera on button and then I hit go. It's as simple as that. Everything fucking works. There's no bullshit. And when there is, I panic and cry. But like, you know, it's fine. It's good, simple. And then as soon as I got even getting this new camera myself, like to upgrade to 4K, I was like, that was like turmoil for me for like a month, just being like, I have to learn this now. The Canon just worked, dude.
Getting a new camera it was like, I'm a simple person. Right. I would love to just turn it on and have it like look like this. Yeah. And it does now. But when I first got it, dude, I spent hours watching YouTube videos of people that did like tutorials on this camera and learning how to work it and stuff. Cause I don't know shit about cameras like at all.
Me?
So dude, this will probably tweak you out. You know how if I make a thumbnail for a video now where it's, it should be a green screen where it's just like, it's a weird background and then it's me just like, you know, whatever. You know how I get those images now?
How?
I fucking take a screenshot. I record and I do the faces or whatever.
Yeah.
Take a screenshot that I want. Yeah. Like, so say it's this. The background will be included.
Right.
I pull it into Microsoft Paint. I fucking zoom in as far as I can go. And I turn the sensitivity on my mouse all the way down. And I fucking erase lines all the way around my fucking body.
Fam, dude, you get Photoshop. Oh my God.
I don't want to fucking pay for Photoshop.
Bro, I mean, yes, there's things that, you know.
Yeah, but dude, there's something funny about that Microsoft Paint life, though. When I tell people are like, your thumbnails look good. What do you use? Microsoft Paint.
Dude, yeah, what the fuck? Photoshop is a must because you get to, there's even a button and it works depending on how clear the image is and how obvious you are from the background. You just hit remove background. Like, I know, but it's just, oh my God.
But then if I'm going to get Photoshop, then I should probably get Premiere Pro, but I don't want to fucking learn a new interface for editing. I'm using fucking free ass Filmora. Actually, no, I pay for this version now. But when I first started, I got the free trial because when I first started doing YouTube, I didn't know anything about any of this.
Right.
So I was like, well, I don't want to pay for something that I'm not going to fucking figure out.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. So I got the free trial of Filmora and then I was like, okay. Yeah. I like this interface. I like how it works. It's easy to edit videos. I'm going to use it. But then there's so many people when I talk to them, they're like, bro, you need to use Premiere, or like even some other people have told me to get like Resolve or something. And they're like, you're fucking editing like with your Lamborghini Toyota comparison earlier. They're like, you're fucking editing with a Toyota when you could easily be using a Lamborghini. And I was like, Toyotas get the fucking job done and they last
get
forever,
it done.
Dude.
I used to do a lot of that stuff too, kind of like just like fuck it, I'm used to this. And because it is always annoying to learn. Like I remember learning Photoshop was like panic, don't want to, no. And then it was like, but now it's like I can't live without it kind of. And same thing with like Premiere. It's like, oh God, like I can't go back to Windows Movie Maker. No way in hell, man. I can't do it.
Did you really use that before?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
All my covers were just it was one take. That was it. You just fucking do it and you put the audio on it. Like,
oh, okay. So if you're not adding graphics or cutting or anything,
I didn't do anything. Yeah, I didn't have grad graphics. It was just, when do I start playing Zoom? When do I stop Zoom? That's it.
Yeah. Do you, just out of curiosity, and I don't mean to put you on the spot if this is weird or anything, but like, do you still edit your videos or do you have an editor?
No, I edit all my videos except on the clips channel, because that's not even like, that's my
Twitch just your mods, right?
Yeah, that's my mods do everything there, and I love that because it's like you can watch the clips channel and you get like a different edit, like you get a different style of video, which because they edit differently, and they edit really well too. Like honestly, I've thought about just
they put some time into it. When I watched the replay, I watched like half of it on stream, but when I watched the replay of when you were doing the Fox News thing, I noticed even some of the edits. I was like, and I knew your mods did that. I was like, wow, these guys put some time into this. Like
they do.
There's like zoom ins on your face and fucking other shit.
I taught them the zoom ins though. That was the zoomies. That's the one thing I knew. But no, yeah, that's so anything on the clips channel is always them, and then anything on my channel for the last ever since I started, it's always been me. I do that. I do the thumbnail. I do absolutely fucking everything because it's just I mainstream it now. You know what I mean? It's like I know how to do it. I know I film. I put it in here. You know, I know where to go. I know how to. It's just me teaching that to somebody is a nightmare. So I'm just like, there's no point.
The big thing for me, I just don't want to pay anybody because if I'm being honest, like I'm currently making enough that like from like YouTube and Twitch and Patreon or whatever that like our bills are paid.
Yeah.
But I'm not making more than that.
Exactly.
So it's like if I pay an editor or somebody to do shit for me, that's literally like, what do I have to cut out of our fucking budget for the month to do that? So. And there's also a sense of like, when you edit your own videos for YouTube, it's like, you know exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
And while don't get me wrong, there are tons of people that are capable of editing really good out there. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to edit it the same way that I'm going to.
Yes.
And especially when I'm throwing in fucking maybe jokes or a cut to a meme or something, like nobody's going to have that same thought process, even though they may actually be a way better editor, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is it's been cool to work with my mods with their stuff and seeing them evolve, and they're very open and they're really good, and that's the thing is like they weren't editors before this, so that's why it's like I'm able to help them kind of learn things, and like even with things like as simple as thumbnails, I'm like, so this one's good, this is too busy, and then kind of actually explaining why and being like, look, make this more simple. And it's got to replicate the title. You got to look at the thumbnail, and it's got to tell you the title in that, and it's got to make you want to click. And teaching them things like that, even, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, okay, there's more numbers." You know, it's like that, or even changing the titling of how titling things instead of it being so specific, make it more generic, make it more like, "Oh, like I want to click on that." But their edits are the same in the video because the content's good, and it's like just like little tricks like that you learn just over doing this for so long, and then seeing them able to do that too. It's like it's funny. The Fox video, the Slaughter Prevail reaction has more views than my last two other than Nik Nxk videos on my main channel. So I'm just like, yep, all right, you guys you get it. You're doing it. So
my OCD takes over. Like I would like to change the way I'm doing things, to be honest.
Right.
But I've been doing things. Every one of my videos, if you look, it has the same format for the title. It just says roadie reactions of what I'm reacting to. Yeah. And the thumbnails pretty much all have the same format. And in my brain, I was like, I can't just one day start doing it differently because that's going to bug me.
Gotcha.
Like, I know it sounds so dumb, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's you know, I've learned a lot doing this. Mm-hmm. And I still probably don't implement all the things I should. But it's funny, the editing thing, it's like, it blows my mind when I talk to other YouTubers that like may have way less subscribers than even me. Cause I, in the grand scheme of things, I have way less than you. And then when I talk to people that have way less than me, let's say like 20, 30,000, and they're like, oh yeah, my editor. And I'm like, you fucking have an editor? Like, what the fuck? Like I have like, I've literally never had anything done. Well, I take that back. One of the logos that I currently use was like a fan made thing by somebody in our Discord community. That's like the only thing I use that I've never really done myself.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just, at least from my experience with YouTube and stuff, I guess my thought process is it can all be done by one person, that person being me. So it's like, why am I going to pay somebody else to fucking do it at this point?
Yeah. I have that same mindset too. And then That's why it's like the only thing I've actually have like a monthly new expense for, and it was so worth it, is PR is Nikki, working with Nikki, which is great, right? But even with my mods, it's actually they're I'm sure they're happy about it, and I wouldn't change it at all. I just give them the clips channel. Like, I don't even care. I'm like, whatever revenue, like, go. Like, I don't even do splits with them on that. I'm like, this is your guys' channel. Like, just I benefit by my name goes out there, and then fucking people watch the Twitch stream after. You guys are very incentivized because it makes a pretty penny, I'm sure, when you guys are doing it, and actually it's getting monthly views. So they're super incentivized, but they also just love the work. They did it for free forever, and now it's like, oh, you can actually make money doing it. So that's how I make sure that they're super happy. And also, I'm just love working with them, and they love working with me. So it's just very natural. And then I don't actually have any extra expense, right? Yeah. And it's just like, all right, like that just works out. But I also took time to help them grow that sustainable for them. So I taught them a lot of stuff. I taught them, look, like, let's do, even my Twitch streams, I'm like, look, all the music stuff's going to get copyrighted, obviously. So if I don't know the label, and also telling them to do it on a clips channel is a little tougher, why don't you guys throw some of the news stuff on there? That's different. You can do that. And then they started doing that, and it gets more views than a lot of the stuff talking about the news shit. And then also they can fucking monetize it. And I'm like, good, build that.
I want fantastic idea. And I've always wondered about that, because like there are other streamers, like I'll take Asmongold as an example. Dude, like there's an Asmongold Twitch clips channel or whatever, and one of my mods was like, oh yeah, he doesn't do that. Like somebody that he knows runs that, and like those videos get hundreds of thousands of views, and half the time it's just videos of him fucking talking about shit. So there's no copyrights. They're probably making a ton from that.
Well, this is the thing is, and then you see the new metas, and then people adapt, and then you see the copy pastas and stuff. A lot of people sometimes kind of do it, go for it. I get a lot of my inspiration not from the metal scene, actually, at all. Is I get it from seeing the big streamers and YouTuber dudes do stuff, and then metal scene's always like 2 years later. So I'm like, I'm gonna jump on that now. Even reacting to fucking TikTok, like when I was like, why is no one else doing this? All right, well, you guys have fun over there. I'm gonna go do this shit, and including it. And clips channels, and doing the Twitch stuff, and even changing how I title things, right? It's like all these things. I'm like, okay, like this is how it's supposed to go. And then I start to see the metal scene adapt, and now all the metal reactors have their clips channels and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
I started a Twitch clips channel, but what it was specifically for was when I did every Saturday on Twitch, I do reaction requests,
right?
And we have this like fun system where people put in their request by using channel points. Like I don't take donations or anything like that. And then I have a big fucking spin wheel on screen, and whatever it lands on, that's whose reaction I do.
Nice.
And every one of those I used to put on my Twitch clips channel.
Right.
But the problem with that is just me being OCD is I would take every single one of those, and I would go back in my video editor and re-edit the fucking levels and shit like that. And I'm talking like 15 videos every Saturday I'd re-edit and fucking put on my Twitch clips channel.
Tank, no, my friend.
It kind of got. Now here's the funny thing. A couple of those videos, because people are requesting whatever they want, and everybody has different musical tastes, and we started getting a lot of Japanese bands. We all know their publishers fucking are not cool. so I started getting strikes on that channel.
Oh my God.
And so I pumped the brakes on it. I made all the videos private. But then I realized, dude, not spending 5 hours after every stream on Saturday uploading all these is fucking sick. So I told everybody, I'm like, guys, I'm probably not going to be doing that anymore. But I maybe do what you're doing, where it's like, I know a couple of my mods that love doing fucking that make memes and shit like that. And I was like, hey, if you want, I'll just give you access to the channel, and you can fucking upload whatever you want for my Twitch stream.
I don't even have access to the clips channel.
Oh, really?
I don't. I'm just like, I remember making, because that's the thing. I see this stuff that's happening in the mainstream, and I don't just copy. Like I'm not just like, oh, that's a good idea, let's react to TikTok. I ask, why is this working? Which I feel like a lot of people that do the concepts, they don't ask why does this work, so they copy paste, and then a lot of time it fails because they're just like expecting the views to happen, right? What even little things that might be, right? There's like, why didn't work the algorithm? Right? That's the thing I always hear, and then it's just like, oh my God. But a lot of people, even with the Twitch clips, they don't understand why people do that, and I'm like, well, why do you think? First of all, why would you think people would watch you on Twitch? Oh, well, because it's me streaming on there. Okay, how does someone find you? Oh, they just find me.
Yeah.
Okay, how? You stream in the music category. Yeah. And they scroll to your name. That's based on how many viewers you have. So if you have 10 viewers, how do they find you? You know, I'll just put more hours in. No.
Yeah.
You need ways to get it. And that's what Twitch clips do on YouTube. YouTube provides the discoverability for your Twitch channel, actually. Yeah. That's how it grows that. You don't just sit there and grind the hours unless you're doing something really unique and special. But we all know that us sitting here and fucking looking at music is not unique and special.
I made that mistake when I first started. And I think I told you this, but when the pandemic started and we couldn't tour anymore, YouTube was never a thought. Ever. It was Twitch. Oh, yeah. It was, I fucking play Destiny every day.
Right.
I'm gonna stream myself playing Destiny. Because there's these other guys that have 4,000 people watching at a time when they play Destiny. So I'm going to do that. I just thought it was that easy. I was a fucking idiot. Like, I seriously, I was like, I'm going to start a Twitch. I'm going to stream games and people are going to watch. And I'm going to make money and it's going to be sick. Dude, right. I did it for like a month. And I think my average viewers was 2. Huh? Like, and I really started rethinking. And then, you know, I had a friend give me the idea about YouTube. And then what am I going to do on YouTube? And then it's like, and I'll fully admit, it's like, well, reactions are really popular, but luckily I approached that in the mentality of what sets me apart from everybody else.
Thank you. And like, that's where everyone fails, I think, is sure, the algorithm has a play in things, right? Yeah. Like sometimes you'll get lucky and sometimes you just won't. But it's this mentality of something didn't do well, I just got unlucky. And you are failing instantly. You are setting yourself up to fail every time. Instead of, and I take this job that I do very as a psychological thing of like, why would I watch this? How would I find this?
Exactly.
Like it's not that crazy because people don't realize the algorithm a lot of the time is based on human fucking behavior and consumption. Yeah. So if you analyze human behavior and consumption and how people do and why you're doing this, like I have reactors all the time hitting me up. Nick, I do reactions to Electric Callboy and Bring Me and they do well, and then I do my own and it gets like 50 views. And I'm like, well, why the fuck do you think that is?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I got unlucky. No, it's because because your video for Bring Me got in the algorithm for Bring Me and the SEO and people are just binge watching Bring Me. So yours shows up. And if you react to anything else, no one's necessarily subscribing for you because you're not actually adding any fucking value to what you're doing or something unique. Whereas that's why that's happening. A lot of so many people are fucking that up so poorly that it's sad. And it's like, well, would you even watch your own fucking video, right? Yeah. Like, and if you wouldn't, then
that was the thing for me. It was like I enjoy watching. We watched a lot of reactions when we were on like tour, like on the tour bus bored after a show. We'd fucking be like, hey, let's watch this hip hop head react to Demolisher. It'll be funny. Like,
love Alex.
Oh, I was honestly, I was specifically thinking Tulip Mafia when I just said that.
Oh shit, okay.
because I said this to Alex when we did our video recently.
Right.
Who doesn't want to see a fucking Southern hip hop producer dude that doesn't listen to metal react to the most ridiculous thing that's come out this year?
That's
it's
a concept.
Entertaining.
Exactly.
So when I started doing reactions, I was like, what do I want to see in reactions? And what's going to set me apart? So I was like, well, I'm in the unique position that I've never seen. I've seen bands and musicians react to things, but I've never seen like a fucking guitar tech react to things and talk about shit. So that was my thought process on that. And even admittedly though, it gets stale after a while. Like that's why I'm starting to think to myself now, it's like, what do I do now that's going to be the next evolution of my content? Because I could keep cranking out reaction after reaction in the same format, talking about gear and production. At what point does that get stale? Because it's like, that's kind of why I started doing those like basic ass reactions on Twitch, because it's like, okay, everybody wants to see me react to this band, whatever band it is.
Right.
But I've covered this band fucking 10 times on my main channel. They use the same gear in every video. At this point, it's just monotonous that I keep naming the same shit that they're using.
Yeah.
So I'm just, people want to watch the reaction, so I'm just going to make it and not put the time into talking about everything because it's been talked about fucking to no end,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, there are things that I see that I want to do, and I should probably get over this. I feel like all content creators do, but like I see you doing things sometimes that I'd be like, man, I want to do that. But I also don't want to just fucking copy it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's it's when you come in it with a unique perspective and you add a different value to the conversation, right? That's the thing that that's that's innovating, and then that adds to it, right? Because this is what I see a lot of is a lot of copy pasta. But if people copy pasta without adding anything, then it actually deteriorates and saturates. Is if you copy pasta and you add to it, you now elevate this thing together, right? That's what I want to see more of in like the reaction scene, is more elevation. Because like I said, much love to all my React homies, I haven't been inspired watching a metal YouTuber since like Jared Nines. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's actually watching you is probably the last one, because like you actually try different stuff. And I love how you're in the Euro scene. Like, to me, you're the Euro fucking tech reactor guy.
And knowing your niche on fucking content, I've learned is invaluable, because, dude, I talk to other reactors all the time. Like, we all do. We all, behind the scenes, we at least, even if we don't really know each other, we at least talk here and there. And I see people a lot, like on Discord when we talk, they're like, man, I did the same reaction. Why is it not doing well?
Oh my God.
And it's like,
headache when I hear it, Tank.
Yeah. And it's like, man. I don't know. I don't have the answers.
I'll help you. Ready? Okay. So you did the same reaction, and let's give me the parameters here. Like, give me numbers, like sub numbers. Give me parameters. I'll explain exactly.
Well, it varies a lot. A lot of the different reactors I talk to are all different sub counts, but it's like, but it's fucking really quick though with sub counts. It's all over the board, because, for example, I currently have like 140-ish thousand subscribers. And there's been a couple reactions I've done lately that have had the same, if not more, views than some people that have 500,000 subscribers more than me.
Yeah.
But then there's other people that may have 100,000 less than me, and their videos do similar numbers as well, depending on the genre or what it is. But real quick, going back to the niche thing, is I feel like, actually, when I just said I don't have the answers, that was the point I was going to make, and I fucking lost my train of thought. a lot of these other reactors that I talk to are like, well, man, I keep doing all these different genres and all these different things. I was like, well, the thing that I learned to develop for myself, and I don't know if this would work for everybody, but I found that category that works for me that I like. And what you just said, the European market is kind of my thing. Yeah. I like European metal a lot. I grew up on it. I really enjoy it. And there's a lot of discovery, because there's such a different split between the North American market and the Euro market.
Yes.
That there's so many bands that nobody gets to hear of here. So that's why I keep checking out these like obscure Finnish and German and Swedish bands. That's my market. My market is this fucking American roadie checks out all these European metal bands.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell all these other reactors. They're like, well, I check out Electric Callboy, but then I also check out Fit for a King, and then I did the new Motionless in White, but then I also threw in the new Katy Perry song. I was like, see, that's the problem, is like, not everybody is into that shit. And not a lot of those people return back to it because they don't know when the next time you're going to put out a reaction they like is.
Yeah, and there has to be like a logical cohesion in some ways. Like it has to be like, you can't, that's the thing, you can do that. You can go from like, but there has to be this weird connecting concept between checking out Katy Perry and Slaughter, right? That makes it make sense. Like you have to, like, whatever country reactor, like it has to be someone that both of those styles are two extremes, but even extremes for them, that it's like, what the fuck, right? Or something that connects those two where they can relate, be like, yo, this Katy Perry song's not too different from the Slaughter song. And then you're just like, wait, how? Right. Yeah, and even there's your fucking title. You're welcome. Someone just got 200,000 views. All right. Yeah. Who are fucking watching. You know what I mean? It's like, but you have to make the connection and actually do that from a perspective. Like produce, you can be a producer guy or something and be like, fucking Katy Perry's production is actually the same as like, I don't know, Slaughter Prevail, right? Like I don't think it is, but like, you know what I mean? Like making this somehow actually meld that makes sense, that makes you intrigued. That otherwise, like, you probably have a metal main audience. Well, now they'll check out, even if they don't like Katy Perry, they're going to be curious to want to check it out instead of just like, oh, I reacted to this, now I react to this. Who the fuck cares? Yeah. Like, no one.
I think that's why like the hip hop dudes that react to stuff are so popular, because if you get a person that's just into hip hop, that's like all they've listened to ever, but now they're checking out metal. That's interesting. People want to see it, but then they're checking out maybe country. That's interesting. People will watch it.
Exactly.
For me, it's kind of hard too, because I've been a metalhead my entire life. So all these things that people ask for, it's like, every day I get a comment, dude, you have to react to Du Hast. I'm like, fucking heard that shit when I was 8 years old, bro.
Apparently Rammstein plays so loud you can hear it 10 miles away. So even if you're not there, you'll hear it.
So there's a lot of stuff even for me. I'm like, I know if I film a reaction to this, it's going to get bonkers views.
Yeah.
But I just can't, because there's no way I'm going to be able to fake or feel good about myself being like, hey guys, this is like, I'm a lifelong metalhead and this is my first time hearing Du Hast. Like, no fucking chance. What you just reminded me of, a good parallel connection with the production talk, I realized recently. So Sabaton a couple years ago, they had a really cool thing that they did on tour where they were releasing live performance videos from the vantage point on stage. So normally when you get live videos, the cameras are in the crowd or whatever. Their videographer on tour would literally just walk around on stage, and the shot is from behind the band members seeing the crowd. Very fucking unique and cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All of Electric Callboy's new videos are like that. All their live performances. And then I didn't realize it until I looked at the credits. But their Electric Callboy's touring videographer, Christian, is Sabaton's tour videographer.
There you go.
He splits time between both bands. So when I made that connection, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking wild, because these two bands have this weird connection that you would probably never expect.
Right.
I feel like that's what... Heard a car horn out there. Somebody's trying to pick you up.
How did you hear it? Holy shit, this mic picks up.
Dude, these mics pick up everything. When I edit these podcasts, I have to mute so much audio because you will hear a fucking dog bark that neither of us heard that this microphone will pick up.
Oh my God, that's fucking crazy.
But going to what you were talking about like, you know, Katy Perry has similar to production to Slaughter.
Right.
That reminded me of that moment. I was like, Electric Callboy and Sabaton share the fucking same videographer.
That's the thing. You have to make people think or curious. And it's like this. It just, I see a lot of this, and that's why it's saturating it and it's diminishing the value overall. And people are just farming, which is great, but you got to do some things outside the box to add value back to this thing, or it's just going to go like this, and then no one's going to fucking care. Like, you have to find a unique approach in some way. Like, why, like, you just sitting there, unless you're super entertaining, just watching someone, no one fucking, who cares? Like, that's the thing. You need to have a unique perspective, a unique something that people go, oh, I just watched this, I can't wait to see what this person says about it. Which is also tough, because then a lot of reactors misinterpret that, and then I've seen a lot of egos in the reaction scene, and they just think, well, they'll just want to see it because it's me.
Dude, full honesty, I used to have that. No, seriously, when I first started this channel, I feel like my channel took off really quick.
Right.
I was at 100,000 subs in about a year, and I got this stupid inflated ego where I was like fucking, I hit it, man. Like, this is just like, my content's better than everybody's. People want to hear my opinion more than everybody else. And a lot of that, admittedly, was to do with a lot of the people that I was hanging out with. The early group of friends that I made on YouTube. When you surround yourself with a certain kind of personality and stuff, you kind of start turning into that too. And it wasn't until, like, you know, late last year that I really got away from that, where I was like, this is the way I've been thinking about this is really dumb. Like, my content isn't any more special than anybody else's. And, you know, it's not like, this shouldn't be a competition where, like, I want people to just see a reaction from me and not go watch it somewhere else, because that's not happening. People are watching it all over. They're not just going to see a reaction from you and then be like, well, I'm not going to watch anybody else react to this because I've already seen Nik do it. No, they're going to go watch other people do it because people genuinely like to see those responses.
Well, the thing with you, though, too, is like, even if that was the case, you still had something unique, right? It's like people did want to watch you because you had the unique perspective. It was built in, right? With your tech, right? And actually exploring and analyzing that way, right? So it was a unique perspective in that sense already built in with what you were doing. So people did want to watch it. And plus your personality too. It's just, you're relatable. It's contagious. You want to watch, right? But that's, like you said, I literally still to this day release my videos as if I am not releasing them as me. Like, I watch them and I'm like, pretend I'm not here. Would I watch this? Yes. Is the content actually good? Not just is the Nik Nocturnal brand pushing it, which it helps. It helps.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for
but
sure.
I don't release videos in that way. Like, people aren't just going to watch this because of this. Because if that was the case, I would just say Nik Nocturnal reacts to insert whoever the fuck cares.
Yeah.
I don't put my name in any of the reaction titles because I don't think that's actually a good driving force. That's just me milking my brand.
Exactly. That's the reason I put roadie reactions on everything and not TankTheTech, because I feel like that also limits who's going to watch your content. That limits the people that know your name are going to click it, but anybody else is just going to be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Exactly. That's why I just literally did a reaction to Chris Turner, right? And I said, the best modern metal drummer, ? I didn't put my fucking name anywhere in it. You'll see my dumbass face. There's all you need. You don't even know if it's Chris Turner. You see the picture. It makes you curious. You want to click, right? But also, if I even went the step further, if I limited it to Chris Turner, well, it's just going to be people who already know Chris. And I want to, Chris just released a sick fucking album. I want to help push it a bit further. So, like, I just want to get drummers to watch this and be like, oh, who's this fucking dude, right?
Yeah.
And push it like that. And the concept is, oh, wow, this is supposed to be shocking. This is the best modern metal drummer. Really? Are you sure? It makes you curious, right? It's not just fucking Nik Nocturnal reaction, Chris Turner. Like, sure, it'll get clicks, but it's not going to do anywhere near as close to this. It's just not, because I'm banking off my brand, and it's like, the brand helps, but I rather make the content good, and then the brand help push it after, help elevate it, right? Instead of, here's the brand. Oh, because I have fucking 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 subscribers, people are going to click it, and then they'll just watch the content. And it doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want, right? Like, because you can do that, but you are farming your brand and milking it, and you diminish the value every time you farm your brand. That is literally why, even on my socials, when I release a new video, I actually don't post like everywhere. I don't, because I'm like, I want all my socials to be content. I don't want them to be, even though it's me sharing content, it still feels like I'm kind of milking my brand and diminishing the value of when I do want to make a post. So now when I have something important like Termina, right, coming out, people know, oh shit, Nik is actually typing words right now. Like, this is serious. He has something that is going to intrigue us, that he has something important to say. I'll actually care, because he hasn't milked his fucking brand for the last fucking 6 months doing the same copy paste fucking thing. I actually care now what he says with his brand. And it's like, hey, new Termina, this is like legit shit. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the perspective and approach I've taken with all this. And again, for me, it's worked so much better. And it's like, I see, like, it's different. It adds value. It gets people, again, right now, people are going to watch the Chris Turner video and who are curious, who are just drummers. And maybe it'll get some drummers into metal. But if I just title that Nik Nocturnal reacts to Chris Turner, that's so no one, first, do people know he's a drummer? Well, if they know he's a drummer, they already know who he is, and they know he's a metal guy, and they already know his capability. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's a lot of psychology in that sense, and I don't want to milk my brand. I want to elevate it and help it push all the content, with the content still being good. And I fucked up. Sometimes I'm like, I release a video and I'll watch it and I'll be like, this video kind of fucking sucked.
I've had that happen.
Yeah. And I'm like, damn, I fucked up. And whatever, you learn, you move on, and that's it. You just get better and better and try to make content. And I know it's such a cheesy, cheeky thing to say. Content is still fucking king when doing this. Mm-hmm. It still is. And I think it literally always will be, because content is how you relate to consumer and how you as a consumer yourself want to watch this stuff. So if you don't want to watch your own shit, why the fuck are you even posting it in the first place, to be honest?
For sure. God, listening to you talk about this stuff always makes me think about it so much more. Like, I feel like, man, I need to just get back to like the roots when I first started, like when I was really like scraping and trying to build, because I had this mentality where it was like every video I made, I wanted to treat it like it was or have this mentality of, this is the first time somebody's going to see one of my videos. Because let's face it.
Yes.
Let's face it. That is true. On every video we post, there's probably at least one person that is seeing your content for the very first time.
Right.
So when I do videos, I never want to just assume that people already know me or are going to know something about the band or stuff. That's why most of the time, like, I still introduce myself in my videos just so people know. Or if I say something that's very specific to the viewers of the channel, I'll be like, some of you that follow my channel may already know this, but, and then explain for the people that don't. And there are some times where I feel like I lose that again, where I probably need to just get back to that, because, you know, I don't feel like I've been lazy with my content, but at the same time, I think my mentality's changed a little, where I probably need to switch it up and change it back.
Dude, I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for almost 9
so
years.
fucking
Fuck
crazy,
my life,
dude.
right? So it's like, I had to learn this by doing this and by doing all the fuck ups and by failing a lot. And I still fail a lot today, like, you know, trying stuff and being like, I fucked up. Damn, let's learn from it, move on. Why didn't that work well? Okay, I kind of get it. Let's do it better next time. But that's what I've learned doing all this stuff is just like, why are people watching? Like, I love YouTube. I love metal. Would I watch this? Do I want to be a part of this?
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the community, not to fucking milk the community, because I want to add value to the community, because I love the community, you know what I mean? And that's such a healthier mindset than I ever had before of, oh, I gotta do this YouTube thing and like, you know, I'm Nik Nocturnal. Like, no, fuck that shit, dude. Yeah. Like, you gotta put a video and the content's gotta be intriguing and interesting. That's where actually doing a lot of stuff on Twitch, and I started to transcend and realizing how the Twitch stuff, that was the forefront, only that was like, this is interesting. It's not something I normally maybe go into, but me as a metalhead, I'm intrigued. So like, wouldn't it make sense that maybe other metalheads would be intrigued, even if it's not the norm of what they would talk about, right? I'm like, well, I'm really intrigued. So like, I'm passionate about it. So let's share it. And because of that, while I'm talking, you can see the passion, and you can see the weird noises I make and all that shit. But that's just natural, me as a fan, and that can be contagious. And then when I start to see that be put on the Clips channel and people really liking that content, because it was just raw, it was natural, and I was like, huh, I guess they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, content, passion, and that first, and then who the fuck cares what my brand is? Like, literally sub numbers. If I ever needed a better example of sub numbers not mattering, Clips channel has 1/10 less of my subs on my main channel. They get more views on some videos than I do,
dude. And it's funny how your Twitch Clips channel has taken on a life of its own already, because like even 2 days ago when I was talking to Alex, and I was telling him about your video about the Fox News thing, and he goes, is that on his main channel or Twitch Clips channel? Like, he already knew to ask, like, you know.
Yes, people hit me up all the time, and they think it's this, and then that's cool. Like, I like that they're like, I don't care where you watch it. Like, that's cool. Like, that's fucking sick.
And that, I mean, I gotta admit too, that video, I was fucking, I was laughing so hard that even my wife like came in the other room.
Oh, really?
Like, what are you watching? She's been texting me. That's why I've been looking down.
Oh,
she's like, hey, I'm starving my ass off. So I'm like, eat something. I was like, nah, we'll be done soon. We'll go get fucking Taco Bell or something. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah, I just, we don't have to talk a lot about that because everybody already has. But dude, that fucking, watching you react to that Fox News thing was so goddamn funny, because everything that you said pretty much was like the internal reaction that I had when I first saw it. Because I was like, you know, I fucking talking about this made me think about Ronnie really quick. By the way, this goes on to our conversation we were just having.
Right.
Ronnie did a reaction to my last Falling Reverse single, and then he was looking at my other video. He goes, "I bet this video does really good. Let's look." And he sees on the sidebar, he goes, "Damn, he's got another reaction that just has like 180,000." And he goes, "Oh, it's Rammstein though, guys." And he goes, "Rammstein's like the biggest band in the world, so it's like." Dude, you don't think I fucking don't know that? Like, come on, dude. Like the way he said it was so like kind of, and nothing. I love Ronnie, and but the way he said it was like, he's like, oh, you know, let's not talk it up too much because it's Rammstein. It's like, I know that.
Right.
I already know that, dude. I knew before I even filmed that fucking reaction that was going to be the biggest video of the week when I posted it. And anybody that does YouTube knows that. They reactions. They know. We fucking know. Like,
well, it's the thing that's hype. Like, it's the thing that's hype. It's the thing that makes sense with what you do, right? And it's the thing where your fan base is. And again, that's why, like, even it's like Spiritbox comes out, I'm like, okay.
Oh, like, that fucking new single, dude.
So good.
It's so good. I was blown away. Because I admittedly, I saw Spiritbox put something new out. I was like, I got to jump on this. Like, I have to get this done. And right when the song started out, I was like, oh, this is different. And then, like, literally, I think by the end of the video, you could see it in my face. I was like, this is fucking incredible, dude.
Yep.
And the whole EP, I actually think the next song on that little single they released, Sew Me Up, I like that song better than Rotoscope. Like, it's so good, dude.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. And that's the thing is like, it's as a consumer, I was excited. And that's where I'm like, well, yeah, like I know my audience will probably be fucking excited too. Same thing with Lorna or whatever. Like I know whenever Bring Me's next single comes out, you know, you're intrigued, you're curious. I know I could do a reaction. I'm sure it'll get some, you know, fun numbers.
I had a thought recently, and I want to bounce it off you and see what you think. Because Spiritbox has mixed feelings from people.
That's just because people don't like when people do well.
It's that, and it's like I've seen comments where people are like, I only really like Spiritbox when they go mega heavy, where it's all screaming like Holy Roller and stuff like that. I've also had people on my Discord that are like, what is it about Spiritbox? They're like, because they're good, but it's like it's not really my thing. It hit me the other day. I feel as though Spiritbox is the new Deftones. Not that they're replacing them, but it's similar in a way to Deftones for me, where, because you look at Deftones' discography, they've always been considered a metal band, even though I don't know if I would quite call Deftones a metal band, to be honest with you. Their discography is so wild because there are those songs that can get really heavy.
Yeah.
But then there are those very ambient, vibey, flowy things, you know, where Chino does do those very airy, atmospheric vocals. And that's a lot of what I heard on the new Spiritbox. And a lot of my friends have always been split on Deftones because there's some people that are like, oh, I like them when they're really heavy, but I don't like them when they do the singing and stuff like that.
Right.
And even the vibe that I was just getting from the new Spiritbox was like, this reminds me of like White Pony. This is like their like White Pony Deftones era. I don't know. Maybe that's a personal thing just because of my relationship with Deftones' music, but I just came to that conclusion recently that like Spiritbox is doing kind of like, they have the same place in the music industry that Deftones had in the early 2000s.
Right. I think that's a fun parallel to Deftones. I would agree with that to a point. But I also I started to realize something when it comes, because this is a new thing bands are doing, is they're doing the softy of softs and the heaviest of heavies, right? Now, why does that work, right? And it's like, because it's fulfilling something that's been missing in a lot of music and a lot of the things that people do complain about, which it's really weird because a lot of people complain, oh, it's not heavy, or it's not this, or it's this, or it's too generic and sellout-y or whatever, right? And I started to realize a lot of that stuff maybe is very simple. And what's the thing that's making it simple versus something like a band that's doing like it's really heavy and very like chill, like ballady types of like Spiritbox? But you listen to that and you'll be like, you know, sure, some people call it generic still, but like you'll be like, why can I listen to Constance and then Holy Roller next to each other as a metalhead? Because they're both still heavy. Just emotionally heavy.
Exactly. And that's what I said about that one too. Yeah.
And metalheads, I think, are a lot more emotional than they are given credit for, and connect with emotion a lot more.
I think metalheads are the most emotional people of people that listen to music, for sure.
And that's where it's like, that's why if you can pull it off, right? Because there's always the stick, because there's bands that try to do, and you know, they'll do the butt rock song or whatever, and that's because it's not emotional, it's not emotionally connecting, it's just softer, and then people do get mad because they're like, well, this is just, it's not heavy anymore, and they say that's the reason why, right?
Well,
instead
that's why
of it being like, well, it's because it's not emotionally connecting. Like you watch Constance as a metalhead, you want to fucking cry just as much as you watch Lorna Shore or something like that. And you hear the symphonies and you're like, why am I kind of sad, but also this is aggressive and heavy as fuck? And why can't I listen to them next to each other? And it's weird, but it works. And that's because there's actual emotions going on that you can connect to.
Well, that's why in my opinion, I know we've talked about this band here and there, but like Nightwish,
right?
Like regardless of what I said about them on my copyright video and stuff, I really fucking love that band. I love their music. And the reason I love their music is because of the emotion.
Yes.
It's, while they are considered a metal band because they do have some fucking ripping moments in some of their stuff, the majority of their music is driven by emotion and feel. And I think that's why they have such a dedicated fan base, is because those people are able to emotionally connect with that music. That music becomes more than just something they like listening to. It becomes a soundtrack to their actual lives. They can tie emotions they're having with those specific songs. And I have songs like that. Like I can remember certain parts of my life or if I was going through emotional turmoil or something. Like, to this day, Come Clarity by In Flames is a difficult album for me to listen to because of where I was in my headspace at the time it came out and I was listening to it.
Gotcha.
Like, that's the emotional connection that people can make with metal and other types of music that I think is really fucking cool. Yeah. Like, I agree with you completely.
And I think a lot of bands, when they see a band do something like Bring Me Sempiternal is always kind of brought up, right? That to me is like peak emotion core, if anything. Like, dude. I wouldn't even say it's metalcore. That's emotion core right there that they're going. And that's why it's stood the test of time. Whereas when bands started to copy paste it, the bands didn't have like the same emotional equivalents. They just had all the other stuff, right? They had the same chord progressions and all that, and maybe the synth sounds, but they didn't connect with it in the same emotional level. So when people heard that stuff, it was like, this is just sellout, boring bullshit, right? A lot of the times. And that's, and I get where that perspective comes from. And then it creates this weird idea of like, oh, well, but you need to be heavy as a metal band and whatnot, which I don't think has ever actually been true. You just need to actually be emotional. So if you're getting heavy, you need to be emotionally heavy. And if you're fucking going calm and chill, you got to make people almost want to fucking cry. You know, you got to make people feel. And then those worlds come together and you can play both songs live and it'll actually fucking work because it just makes people feel, which I feel like a lot of bands, like I said, they'll see something successful happen, not realize that it was because there was an emotional backing, copy paste all the other parts of it, and then fail at doing it, and then saturate the market with this emotionless version of the thing that was the thing that got big because it was very emotionally connecting. Yeah. Right. And then it becomes generic, right? And that's where it's like, oh, another Architects song. But you listen to fucking Architects Gone with the Wind. That's one of the most, bro, I saw them play that shit live. I almost cried. It was beautiful. But then you hear all the other bands copy pasting that sound, and you're just like, they can't really. Or Doomsday, right? Same thing. Like,
oh yeah,
you hear bands copy pasting, and you're like, that now this sounds generic, and it's like, well, yeah, because they don't have the same emotional at that level that the band that started it does it.
Even if a band tries to copy exactly what somebody's done, let's say they fucking cover the song.
Yeah,
let's say they just cover a song. That band may just not have. They don't have the same emotions in relation to that song that the original band wrote. It doesn't mean the same to them. It's not going to be delivered the same. Like,
exactly.
And that's exactly what you're saying. It just doesn't work. It's like, even if you try and mimic a style of another band, it may not be suited well because you may not have that same emotional delivery that the original band has been putting into it. Like, dude, there's kind of a shitty, I think the stigma is going away in metal, but metal for a very long time was like tough guy shit. A lot of the older, a lot of the older generation, maybe I would say a little older than me, and even some metalheads of mine that are my age, they still are like that tough guy. Like, I mean, dude, the first time I heard And I Return to Nothingness from Lorna Shore, like, I straight up had like tears listening to that because of the emotional connection that I had with what I was hearing. Just for whatever reason, it struck an emotional chord with me. And I had dudes in the comments that were like, look at this fucking gay dude crying over a song. And it's like, you know, I was like, and there still is that tough guy mentality where it's like, metalheads are in a weird conflicting zone because it's like, they don't want to, they think they're too tough to show emotion sometimes, but at the same time, they are mega emotional.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
and I also think this is a big reason why the trap stuff does so well that we were talking about earlier, because it's like, it's so raw that like the emotion is the only thing that can carry it through, and people just relate to it. Like, that's the thing. It's more relatable instead of just all the other parts that can be easily replicated, right? Copy pasted. Like, it's the actual emotion attached to it, and you feel that, and it feels unique, and it's like that's what's special, and that's how bands can pull off chill shit and the heavies in the same fucking album. And bands are always scared to try it because they I think just the perception of how to do it is always, well, it's either you heavy or soft, instead of make this emotionally stimulating and you'll be fine, and make it engaging and encapsulating and something unique in that sense. And you can do whatever the fuck you want on this spectrum, as long as you introduce it somewhat earlier in your band, I would say, because I feel like a lot of bands also start out as one thing, and then they build a fan base of the one thing, and it's really hard for them to branch out, obviously, right? But a lot of these modern metal bands, it seems like, motherfucker, you better be able to do a ballad and a deathcore anthem. Like, you gotta be everything in between. It's. Well,
like, back to In Flames as an example, I remember when, like, Come Clarity, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Come Clarity was In Flames' like mainstream breakthrough album. I believe that was their first number one in Sweden. I believe it was their highest charting album in the US as well.
Right.
A Sense of Purpose might have been higher in the US, but I'm not sure. But anyways, they had some songs on that album that were ballady.
Yeah.
And a lot of these fucking metalheads were like, this is fucking lame. Like, these guys are, you know, Gothenburg fucking mellow death, and now they're doing ballads. I was like, dudes, they've always had shit like this. Almost every album In Flames has ever put out has had some, like, acoustic song or something like that. Like, they've been doing it forever. And I just get so blown away sometimes, these excuses that people come up with to say something is like not heavy or this is too soft and blah blah blah. And it's like, you go back, but you know, as we were talking about earlier, In Flames is one of those bands that's been around for so goddamn long, but some people did discover them around the time Come Clarity came out. You know, so that's a cool conversation in terms of what is old to some people, because when people told me that the new In Flames sounds like, you know, old In Flames, to me that's something completely different. That was my title. Totally. Yeah. But that, to me, that term old In Flames is something completely different to the person that may have discovered them in 2004 or 5.
Exactly.
And 100%. I think that's just really cool, though, is like that perception of the sound based on when you actually discovered a band. Because there are some bands that I was fucking way late on. Like, really fucking late on. Like, even discovering them on YouTube recently. Like, it's just, it's wild seeing like people's perception of that sound, especially since I just released the reaction to that. Cause, you know, again, to me, that's like 90s Gothenburg mellow death. But that song to me, it all made sense when I said, this song to me sounds like early mid 2000s era In Flames. And so many people were like, yeah, but that's when I discovered them. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. It all makes sense then, you know? So
yeah, it's, dude, that era of music is so fucking good. Like, that's to me is the golden age of like the early 2000s melodic death metal meets metalcore, and like all those bands that started coming out. And even to Tying to Emotion, it's so funny. Like, it's always been a complaint in metalcore, like all these like clean singing and shit like that, right? It's like, oh, why do they have to do clean singing? And then you go to the actual goated metalcore song of all time, Killswitch Engage My Curse, and Howard's beefy ass voice, and it's like, you think of that and you're like, well, why is this why does this work? Why is this the exception? You're like, oh, because his emotion and the voice and everything and the instrumental is just like breathtaking, and it takes you to this next level, and it's like, wow, like this is fucking crazy. Even like End of Heart, does End of Heartache have clean screams?
So I was actually just gonna say, this is funny about the conversation we were just having about our frame of reference from things,
right?
I wouldn't even say My Curse is their emotional song. I would say it's the End of Heartache.
Okay, got you.
Like, that's just frame of reference. Like,
right.
I was a diehard metalhead in high school in that era that Killswitch was like blowing up.
Got you.
So their first album and then their second album, which then had Howard on it, is like, those two albums to me are some of the best fucking American metalcore albums ever. And then around the same time too, what was the second album from As I Lay Dying that had Confined and shit like that on it?
You meant to say the top 10 metalcore album of all time.
I mean,
Shadows Are Security.
Shadows Are Security. Dude, I'll tell you right now, and I've had this conversation with people, I've kind of fell out with As I Lay Dying just because of the whole Tim thing, but that's that's personal opinion and preference. I don't mind that people are still into all their shit. I still listen to the old albums. Yeah. But dude, the first time I ever heard As I Lay Dying, the first song I ever heard by As I Lay Dying was fucking 94 Hours. And the first time I heard that, I was like, holy fuck. Like,
94 Hours goes hard.
After that second verse, when Jordan goes into that unruly fast double kick pattern, that was the first time I had been like, I heard that in metalcore where I was like, God damn. Like, and then, Shadows of Security. Fucking, I mean, you talk about an album with emotion, like Confined. The first time I heard that song, by the time I got to the chorus, I was like, holy fuck, dude.
Dude,
like,
Through Struggle.
Oh, dude.
Was my, my cousin knew what was up. So my intro to metalcore was technically Unholy Confessions of Avenged Sevenfold, because that is a metalcore. Yeah. Waking the Fallen fucks, okay.
Oh, Waking the Fallen is, in my opinion, their best album.
It's goated. It's goated.
Yeah, I love it.
So, but what my like real intro to metalcore that my cousin ever put on was Through Struggle. So that was my first intro, and you can tell now this is my life. Is da 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 da.
Yep.
And I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and it's crazy. You'll listen to those albums now; they hold up. Like
they absolutely hold up. Yeah. They absolutely
production.
hold up. And when around the 2002 to 2005 was when I was in high school.
Right.
And at the time, we were getting like As I Lay Dying, Killswitch Engage. You were starting to see the rise of the new American metalcore. I wouldn't call them metalcore, but like Lamb of God was getting huge at the time too. Those were other albums that we were fucking banging all the time. And then you had metal bands like Chimera. Like you go back now and listen to The Impossibility of Reason by Chimera. Holy fuck, is that a good album? So many, dude, Unearth around that time.
Unearth,
dude. Yes. Fuck.
Fucking, dude, and talking about even emotion, All That Remains with even a song like Fall Ideals in general, right? But like even a song like Six, a song that the bridge is not acoustic, but is a clean guitar part over this melodic death. Like the rest of the song's basically melodic death metal with some metalcore in it. Like I remember I did a cover of that and it was so cool. The biggest comment was always, dude, that middle part's beautiful. On my metal channel about metalcore, everyone's like, dude, song's great, but man, that like little acousticy like clean break is like next level.
Dude, I don't know how I didn't bring up All That Remains earlier, because that was another band at the time. And actually I got into them from what was that? This Darkened Heart, their first major release.
My first listen to All That Remains was not This Calling or anything off Follow Ideals. It was actually Regret Not.
No way.
Yeah. Dude, you listen to that song and I was encapsulated. I was like, this is beautiful. Like I don't think I ever described a metal song before that moment as beautiful, of like the acoustic parts, and then the middle is this heavy epic thing with this crazy solo, and then just the acoustic parts with all the soundscapes, and I'm like, wow. That's when I really realized like metal is more than just metal. Like this is an emotionally stimulating thing that like transcends what is on paper.
I admittedly fell out of All That Remains around their
We Are Many?
The one after that many, or maybe that one.
I love it. We Are Many actually goes pretty hard, but the one after I also kind of fell out a little bit of it. It just wasn't as much.
And it has nothing to do with the band or anything like that. It was just there are certain times where there have been bands that I just never really kept up with for whatever reason. But for my money's worth, This Darkened Heart and Fall of Ideals would definitely both be easily in my like favorite top 20 like metalcore albums when I was a teenager. I mean, both of them. Dude, me and my buddy growing up, he had a drum set at his house and he played guitar. This dude was so fucking good at guitar when he was like 13 years old that he was playing in bands with like college students, like metal, like fucking heavy metal bands.
Holy shit.
And I used to go over to his house and we used to try and cover all of these songs that we loved. And I also play drums. So we would try and cover we'd be covering fucking Fear Factory, some of the easier kick pattern songs. Don't get me wrong, like
Not the Sugar Bleed. Yeah.
No. But we would cover This Darkened Heart, the song by All That Remains, which just like the last track on that album, just fucking so fucking great.
It's so good.
And then we'd do like Chimera and As I Lay Dying and all this shit, and like just there's something special for me about the age at that time and the emotional level I was at and stuff about discovering that music. Because even if I don't listen to it a ton anymore now, I could turn one of those songs on right fucking now, even though I probably haven't heard them in a while, and just be right back to that just excitement of discovering them when I was a teenager.
That era, and I love modern stuff too. You know, it does its thing. That era is my favorite. Always. I don't think I will ever listen to music in my life again that is, to me, as good as that stuff that came out during that exact era you're talking about.
So good, dude. And like,
it's so good.
And I was on the other broad side of the spectrum too. Like while we had like the new wave of American heavy metal and metalcore rising over here and stuff, I was listening to a lot of stuff from the melodeath scene in Sweden too, like In Flames, At the Gates, Dark Tranquility, fucking all that shit too.
Dude, Insomnia, fucking Insomnia.
Insomnium?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. In Finland. I mean, dude, there were so many good bands from all over. Dimmu Borgir was one of my like gateway bands into fucking metal over there and shit. So much so that like the first time I ever saw Behemoth live ever, the first time I'd ever heard of Behemoth, they were opening for Chimera on a tour in the US. And me and my buddies went, we were 18, I think. We went to like this 1,000 cap club outside of Chicago. And we only went to see Chimera. We had no idea who Behemoth was. And this was right when Behemoth's Demigod album came out.
Okay.
And they walk on stage, and I kid you not, I looked at my friends and I was like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, because this was when they were in like nowadays they're kind of like in rags and like a little less gauntlets and shit. Back then they were full fucking leather vests and gauntlets up their arms and corpse paint and shit. And I was like, okay, this is fucking lame. And then they started playing, and I think they opened that show with a song from Demigod called Slave Shall Serve, which even for them is fucking heavy.
Okay.
And I like, back in those days, I was a big mosh pit dude. We were in the middle of the pit at every show. I like froze. I stood there for a whole song and was just like, what? Holy fuck. Like,
right.
And like, it was... And then I've been following them ever since too. And you know, so much musical discovery in the early 2000s, dude. It's just so fun.
It's the best fucking era, man. Yeah. And that's like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I'm gonna, as long as I live, I don't know if there'll be an era ever better than that. And I know it's because of nostalgia too, like you said, those memories mixed into it. But something about just the riffs during the time, the melodies, the emotion in so many things. It was just like, wow, like this was, to me, just peak fucking music.
There's something interesting with the emotion in the vocals too back then. And there's something that Vicky brought up to me when I was talking to her on the podcast was nowadays you have all these vocalists in metal bands that are so well trained and have so good technique and stuff like that. Where back then it was a little more raw, where a lot of these vocalists, like, they didn't have the technique, they didn't have the training. So some of their vocals in their releases did come off as more raw. Like you could almost hear like how strained their voices were and the air in their breath and stuff like that. And there's something about that for me that I think feeds a little more into the emotional aspect of it too. Like you can hear on a record that they might be struggling. Like,
yes.
I don't know if you're a fan of this band or even familiar, but have you ever really listened to Glassjaw?
Not really. No, not really.
So I had a phase in my life where I loved Glassjaw, and I always found it funny with them that they were like really incorporated into like the fucking hardcore scene because they're from like New York or New Jersey or some shit.
Right.
Like dudes wearing flat bills and basketball shorts would show up to their shows and fucking do karate and shit, and like nobody would bat an eye. But they have like major ballady emotional songs. Their very first album, it was produced by somebody big. I can't remember if it was maybe it was Ross Robinson or Rick Rubin. It was somebody that has a double R name.
Okay. The double R.
Yeah. They had Daryl, their singer, do the entire last song in one take.
Wow.
Like, this is a real thing. Like, so while the music was recorded like a normal album and they probably cut and did tons of stuff, he had Daryl do the main vocal lines in one take because he wanted that emotion and just power to be there. And Daryl is a fantastic vocalist, but by the end of that song, because there's so much screaming by the end of it, you can hear his voice dead. You can hear it. You can hear him gasping for breath to finish parts on the album. Like, it's fucking, you talk about raw emotion on a recording, dude. It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, doesn't happen as much anymore. Everything's pristine and super.
Yep.
You know, that's just the new meta, man. That's just how it is nowadays. It doesn't happen as much.
So, I just realized we've been over fucking 2 hours already.
It's all good, man.
Dude, this always happens. Like, I told Nick before we started, I was like, yeah, we're not going to be here as long as like the fucking YouTube video we did. So before we go, I did want to ask you about one specific thing as well. You recently took a trip to New York. How did for the Coheed shit? How did that go, dude?
Yeah, that was fucking great, man. I never leave my house other than to go to get groceries. So it was like going to a different country, going to America was fun. I mean, I've been to America a couple
Yeah,
times, but like I never been to New York. So yeah, dude, it was great. It was like very fast. It was like 2 days in and out.
Oh, okay.
So we prepared, we went, and you knew like basically downtown Toronto is its own thing and it's busy and all that stuff. And there's the high rises. New York was that times 30. So I was like, oh, wow. Like, this is what Toronto tries to be. Okay, I get it now. But it was just really cool, man. It was cool to explore and, like, fucking go do the basic-ass touristy things, like go see Central Park and fucking, go see the library and stuff like that.
Fucking Times Square and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really cool to do all that, but it was a business trip, so that's why it was cool. I still got to enjoy the touristy stuff while being like, oh, I got to go and do this Coheed event and do all that stuff. But yeah, I went with my girlfriend and we had a fucking crazy time and walked around a lot. And then on Friday was the actual event where again, Coheed released their album and I was like kind of the host, and Twitch was trying this new thing basically of like, hey, like let's do this thing where you're like we get hosts and like release an album, make it like this whole event, and like Nick, you want to be the host? And I was like, okay. So they flew me out there to do all this stuff, and I got there, and I'm a very on the fly dude. Like I'm honestly, if I even have to remember sometimes an album name, if I'm like doing something, I fuck it up when I say it. Like I'm really bad with that. I was awful at school, like with presentations, because like I'm bad with it. It's just it's unnatural, and then as soon as your brain triggers, oh, I kind of did that wrong, and then everything gets fucked. So it's like Coheed, they're so wholesome. They're like the nicest dudes I think I've ever fucking seen in my whole life. Like actual wholesome, like rock star guys. And they're all also like all their fans that were there are like so wholesome. So like they have like this very new album that's like very like not artsy, but like very there's a lot of depth to it. Like the art matter, like you tell they care about the art, they care about the story really intensely. Like, and then you have this fucking dude that talks about breakdowns and metalcore all day about to come up here and kind of like do that. So I was like, oh my god. So I go up, and I forgot the album name, which was great. So I just went through it. I was just like, new Coheed album. And then that's when I was like, not gonna happen. Let's just YOLO this shit. Let's be an entertainer. Let's make sure everyone has fun. And that's basically all I did. And the event itself was really cool, and they were all happy, which is all I really cared about. So that was great. And then I got to meet with a bunch of like industry people, which is so funny because that was and I did not plan it like this.
Yeah.
It was the same day I released Nik Nxk Industry, and that's the day I'm meeting with all of like these really fucking cool like management, label, industry people that are like legends in the scene, that work around Coheed, worked at Roadrunner and all this stuff. And it's the same day I fucking released that. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go.
That's awesome.
But it was great. No one said much. There was a couple people I met that were really, really cool. And they were like, hey, we saw you release your song today. It's doing really well. And I'm like, thanks. Because it's like, I don't know. Awesome. It's like, is this like a, hey, fuck you?
Yeah, you never
like
know.
Yeah, I was like, thanks. But then, no, they were really nice, and they actually they did enjoy it. And I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, it was just that crazy, surreal kind of experience going there, doing what I had to do, exploring a bit with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And in and out, that's it. And making new connections, making new friends, and trying something. Now I can actually say, like, for credentials, I hosted something, which is always, a bonus fun thing. But it was crazy because I used to having my computer and everything with a release coming out, and that was also the craziest release week of my whole fucking life. So it was like getting all that stuff done in time, making sure Nik Nxk's set to go because I'm not even home when it comes out, so I have to be on my phone during the mobile release, being like, go check out, like mistyping really fast, like check out the song, guys, it's out. And then coming back and seeing again, it's like within one day I was at like 120K, like beating what labels do, and I was like, that's funny as fuck. And it just kind of coasting from there on. Kind of, it was a wild experience, and at the same time, I'm planning Termina, which again, Termina in itself, coming out on July 8th will be wild because we have a drummer. Which, when is this coming out? I don't fucking care. Chris Turner's doing drums for the whole album. Chris Turner from Ocean's 8 Alaska is doing drums for the entire album.
Shit.
Yeah.
I think this podcast is going to come out like maybe a day or two before that.
It'll be announced then. But yeah, I don't even care if you throw it out tomorrow. To be honest, like it's fine. I tell my Twitch people. I always tell them when I'm streaming like little sneak peeks and shit. Anyway. So, Chris Turner is doing drums for the whole album.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's so. This is what we want because we did Termina 1. We self-produced, and it did great for what it was supposed to do. We were happy. Now we're like, okay, let's level the fuck up. So how do we level up? First of all, let's just get better, right? Let's do more unique shit. Let's expand a bit more while building on the good shit we learned. So heavy, crazy, experimental, modern metal. And the new album that we're working on is, we kind of think of it like a modern metal jukebox. Like there's the Thal Valjarta song. There's the After the Burial meets Math Rock song. There's the Doom and Mick Gordon meets Loathe song. You know what I mean? Like all of our passions and different styles we really like, and infusing them in this way that's emotionally connecting. And we're like, okay, so we have that under control. Now we need real drummer probably, because I program drums for Termina 1.
Yeah.
So we got Chris Turner, and he's doing all the drums for every song, and it leveled up.
How did that go? Did either of you know him already really well, or was it like a random reach out?
I kind of did, because he's been doing his rollout, and he released his album last Friday. Okay. Yeah, like we've been talking back and forth, because he hit me up as doing reactions, and then we just got to be like pretty like good friends, like just talking back and forth. And he's like a really wholesome, nice dude who's really talented. Yeah. Like, it's very rare you see someone who's really good and not a dick.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen. So that blew my fucking mind. But he's just like really good at what he does. And he's just really nice and wholesome and chill as fuck. So we became pretty good buddies in that sense. And then I was like, well, we need a drummer. And the first one I was like, Andy, if we get Chris, like we win, right? And he was like, okay, like let's try. Because Chris is a proggy metal drummer, and like we're doing modern metal which has proggy elements, so we're like, well, how do we blend this, going from basic-y drums to like fucking Chris Turner? So we got him on the first track just to kind of see how it happens, and this dude, holy shit, just transformed this song into this other being, which was wild. And this was before vocals were on it.
Yeah.
And we were like, so you're doing the whole album with us, right? So yeah. And that's kind of just how it went about. Like he was just down, and he is. I'll state this. I'll note this. So he is the natural drum dude. Everything natural. No samples. No triggers. No gritting or anything. Nice. Now for this, and this ties to who we have mixing. He was very adamant on that, and I respected it 100%. So I was like, we're gonna try our best to make it all natural, right? Because you're the natural dude. Absolutely. When it came to this, and it came to mixing, to get the modern metal sound we were going for, our mixer said, we need to put a blended sample on the kick. And I was like, can we not? Because like it's like I want it for Chris, right? We ended up going with the blended sample, just so people know. Chris was like, you know what? You guys hiring me to do this, it's not my band. Yeah. That's fine. So note to anyone out there is a blended sample on the fucking kick. But Chris is still the very natural dude, and he's very honest, and that's why I have a lot of respect for that. And I wanted to respect that, because when do you find a natural drummer? You don't, right?
No, never.
But anyways, so yeah, Chris is on the album. He's insane. He's doing crazy fucking shit. And we have Zach Cervini mixing and mastering and doing pretend.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, so we're like, let's do it. Like, let's do it proper. So we're gonna get the modern metal producer and the modern metal drummer. Like, okay, let's go and see what the fuck happens. And working with Zach on the whole album too. Like we're still doing basically all the production, and Zach's adding like little spicy things like fucking reverses and stuff like that. But like when it comes to writing, it's still just me, Chris, and Andy. He sent us back the first mix, and I was like, yo, this ain't Termina no more. This is fucking Terminator. Like this is like holy shit. It was again. It's like it really feels like a new era. Yeah,
I'm like you made me so excited to finally hear this, because like I really enjoyed Termina 1, but the way you've described this, dude, I'm fucking.
It's just better than that. That's the best way. It's just leveling up at that. It's taking all the dubs from it, and now we have a real fucking drummer doing it, and then we have a real mixer masterer, like the best dude. Literally is doing everything from Bring Me Motionless and White to pop stuff. Like he is doing all of the albums, and it sounds insane. And we also have Patrick still working with us, who's doing this AI generated art music video.
I fucking can't wait to see it.
It's wild. And that's the thing, is like, we know what we're doing is modern metal, and we know it's very saturated right now. So we're like, we need to add everything unique we can to stand out. And Chris was enough of a uniqueness. That's fucking for sure. But also just this really good mix. And Zach's also doing some, we're going for a very specific like Structures EP. I don't know if you listened to the last Structures EP at all, but like that kind of mix, very punchy and crazy in your face. And then the video too, just something different and crazy. So it's like that's like going to be July 8th, like the new era of this fucking crazy internet project where none of us have met each other in person except me and Andy once.
That's so funny. So going into this release, I like, this is something I always ask every artist that's on here, and I mean, you are an artist, so we'll ask. Right. Going into this release, what would you suggest are the best ways that people can support Termina and support your projects if they want to?
Listen to it like straight the fuck out. I don't even care if we make money. Like at that point, could not care. We haven't paid. We when it started Termina, me and Andy put $500 each into it.
Yeah,
we've never put more money into it. It is ever since that we've been just that's it, $500 each, and that was for our first music video that we paid for. Every couple months, you know, you go through DistroKid, you get your Spotify royalties. All right, we got another $1,200 in our bank. Let's go pay for the next music video, right? And it's just like
for sure
recouping from that. So like we don't care. We haven't taken a penny from this project yet, and we probably still won't after this second album. Like even when it's all said and done, like we're just gonna put it back in the band. Like who cares, right?
Yeah.
So we don't, you know, supporting it in that way does help us further the Termina stuff, which is great if you people want to buy it or that, but stream it, get it out there. Like that's the best way. Share it. If you fuck with it, share it, jam the fuck out of it and enjoy. Like I don't even care if you find it on some fucking torrent website at this point. Just listen to it and share it around.
Are people still using those?
I don't think so, but like, you know, I'll put it out there. Like I don't care how you listen to it. Yeah. Just listen to it, share it around. And if you fuck with it, just try to help us get it out there. That's really it. Cause there's no label. There's no management. Nothing. We have PR now, which is Nikki. She's a blessing. I love Nikki.
Nikki's so nice. I love Nikki.
She's the best. That's it. I'm gonna put it on my YouTube channel. It's just, you know, and see how it goes, man. And hopefully people react to it. You know, those always help. I'll hit up the homies, and I know hopefully it's not busy on July 8th because I know that Termina probably won't be prio for a lot of them. But no copyright claims. So come on, motherfuckers, come get your AdSense.
Fucking reactors all over it, dude. What's gonna happen? Legitimately. What happens if some other band loves this album and is like, hey, come open for us on tour?
We don't go. We don't tour.
Okay. Fucking Bring Me the Horizon gets a hold of you, says open for us on tour.
You have to be specific. Because, like, well, I don't know, man. Like,
I know you don't want to. That's why I was curious. I was like, let's say a fucking arena metal band says, we want Termina to open this tour. Well, I mean, Andy's fucking busy with other shit too.
Andy lives to tour. That's the thing. We're polar opposites in that sense. Andy would go to play a small venue right now, and any place near us to play a Termina show. But I'm like, I'm the asshole, just so you guys know why we're not touring. It's so tough logistically in that sense of like, I went to New York for 2 days, and I came back in a panic because I was behind on everything. Let me put it that way. That was 2 days. So going away for like a couple weeks. That's like
a couple weeks as a tour to you.
Yeah, exactly. See, you see how this is like really tough right now.
I mean, tours vary and depend. But like for example, the tour that I'm doing with Electric Callboy in October and November, dude, it's like even for me, who's somebody who's been touring for a long time, I looked at that schedule and I was like, fuck, dude, it's like 23 shows in like 25 days.
Oh my god! Okay.
And they're like, this is why I hate booking agents. I'm sorry for any booking agents that ever hear this, but like most booking agents don't tour, so a lot of the times they don't think about routing as much as a tour manager would. Some of the fucking routes, I'm like, Jesus Christ! There's a couple drives on here that are like 12 hours into another show day. Like if we fucking bus breaks down, we're not making that show.
Right, right.
You know, but in all seriousness though, like. I'm excited about it, but it has been a long time since I've done a tour schedule like that, and there is a part of me that's like, this is going to be kind of grueling.
Yeah, man, it's weird because I went the content creator route, right? That's how I got into this. I didn't do the normal thing, which is you be in a band, you fucking tour, like that's it, and that's still the mentality, obviously today, and that's why I'm just like I think of it too analytically, like because I'm also not like if I want to. I don't get like the same adrenaline rush as much like performing as I do writing. Writing is that's my thing. Like I love writing. I'll die for writing. Performing, I don't care like as much. So that's why it's like I'm not getting as much of the benefit as like Andy would for that. Like Andy lives to perform and to write, but I know performing is like his thing. So that's where I'm like, you go on tour, you probably lose money. Okay. You got connections. That's good. You get to connect with the bands, and you get you get the time of doing that. I get anxious because I can't do what I need to do while I'm on tour, so that's a big thing. I'm just like, I am here, and we're only playing unto 1 hour or 40 minutes set right now, and then the rest of the day is setting up to go to the next place.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing that's been stressing me about the Electric Callboy thing, because even though touring was my main thing, like for the past 2 years, it's been YouTube. So perfect example. My wife and I, we just took a vacation last week for the first time in forever, first one with our daughter.
Right.
We were gone for like 5 days, and I enjoyed it. Yeah. But my brain was exactly like you said. It's like, fuck, content, schedule, analytics. Like, so it's like, like I just because my videos are not quick to edit because of all the pop-ups and shit I do. So to make sure I had content for when we were gone, I did those basic ass reactions where I just record it live on Twitch, and then I literally do minimal stuff. And I actually had some people that are like, dude, what's with all the change in your content? Like, I had a comment the other night where somebody's like, why'd you change your content? Like, I started following you last month because I like the way you're doing things, but now you're just doing it like everybody else does it. What gives? And I'm just like, and I was honest. I was like, well, I was planning on taking a vacation, and I would rather give you guys content than nothing.
Yeah.
So this is what I did while I was preparing to be gone, and then it's going to go back. And they were cool. They were like, oh, that's a logical explanation. But for anybody that's listening, I'll tell you right now, probably the same thing that's going to happen when I'm on tour with Electric Callboy. Like, I'm probably going to bank like 15 basic ass reactions and release a couple a week while I'm gone, and then hopefully do live streams and do vlog content. But like, I know even though when I'm on tour, I'm going to be having a blast and working, I'm going to be thinking about the content shit.
Yes. And that's, to me, too, like, I have it so set up on, obviously, YouTube is my schedule, but then on Twitch now, too, and every Friday I have a guest. Like, even when I was in New York, I was like, I still have to do my Friday stream, and I had Ryan on, and I was in this, like, really nice gaming cafe place that had a streaming setup. I had no fucking clue. Yeah. But it was, like, I had to look, like, I had to fucking figure out how to do this because I'm used to pressing go, and it's like, I have to reset all this. So even that's just like, it's stressful in the sense of making sure you still want quality, right? You still want to do it and not just for the sake of doing it. And even streams like that, where it's like, man, yeah, that's something where I'd have to be like, yo, I'm taking off like 2 weeks, probably fully or something. Cause like, more than 2 weeks. So I don't know, that I'm tough with touring because I think of the benefits versus the cons, even like the exposure benefits, like, that's super cool, and it gives you industry cred. I think if, let's say, Termina did do that, especially with a big band. But in terms of actually getting the band out there in that same time, I know I could probably get more eyes actually watching the band by just doing Termina-specific videos for 2 weeks.
For sure. I agree with that, to be honest. Like, in nowadays age with technology and YouTube and shit like that, I fully agree with that. I think bands can get just as much as exposure putting a music video out than if you were to go open a tour for somebody. I really do.
And that's my weird, that's where I'm just like, okay, so then why do I do this? Okay. It's just like, that's where I'm like, all right, I guess I'm home. And I kind of leave it to that. But I mean, I know I've told Annie too, there's going to be one day where like, when it makes sense enough, we'll go on tour. Cause like, just to be like, let's do it. And maybe it'll be our only tour we'll ever do as a little online project for 20 fucking years. So you better buy tickets.
Yeah. I'd go.
Yeah, man. And it's like, but like just to experience it. But that's it. I would know it's I almost would think of it as vacation. That's the weird thing about me is like, if I think time off home, like even New York, it was a business trip. I'm like, this is vacation. Like I'm purposely have to take these 2 days for vacation right now. Yeah. Even though I'm working. Yeah. So same thing for me. Tour would be like, okay, I'm on 2 weeks vacation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I get it. And totally. But well, I'm stoked to check it out because I mean, dude, even the music video alone sounds so intriguing. And anybody that's listening now, I mean, I just checked this podcast will come out July 7th. So tomorrow, for anybody that's listening on first day, new Termina's out, dude. And then we've already got new Nik Nxk stuff out now. You got just nonstop, dude. But I really kind of want to just wrap up here because I was looking at the clock and I want to give you a break before you got to set up for your Twitch stream and stuff. Because we've all got schedules and shit. So plus, I mean, This will be one of the longer podcast episodes, but dude, I just got to thank you for coming back again, because it's always, not only is it fun to talk to you about just the musical stuff, but every time, even with content on YouTube, you talk to me about stuff, like it makes me think, and I think there's probably other content creators out there that could probably hear this episode and probably learn a thing or two from you as well. So thank you for all that.
Dude, thank you for having me. I mean, just talking with you is I mean, I love it. It's just chill. We just shoot the shit, and like, you know, that's what I love doing. So like, yeah, man. I mean, always slide in the DMs whenever, and we do some fun stuff. And I gotta have you on my show, man. What the fuck? I gotta get you over there.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun one of these days. For sure. You just let me know when. I mean,
I'll do like a whole slew of just like Euro reacts, and I'll have you on. Just be like all the European bands.
We should just do like obscure, like, dude, some of my favorite streams we've ever done on my reaction request weekends, where we do like Euro trash, where I have everybody request like club bangers from the 90s from Europe, dude, because some of them, oh my God, dude, some of the shit that came out in the clubs in like Germany in the 90s is the most amazingly wild fucking weird shit ever. It's awesome.
Okay. Something like that we have to do, because I think that'll be a fucking party.
Sure. So, well, dude, for anybody watching on YouTube, check the video description. I'll have all the links to Nik's stuff and you know, Spotify, and I don't know. Do you really actually have a SoundCloud?
That's how I started. But I haven't used it in like.
Oh, okay, cool. Ever. I didn't know if the Nik Nxk stuff was actually on SoundCloud.
No, I have Nik Nocturnal stuff from way back when on there.
Awesome.
That's it.
Well, all the links will be in the description. And yeah, man, this was a blast once again. I can't thank you enough, and I'll probably see you on your own stream in about 40 minutes from now.
Yes.
So
around there, dude. Yeah, thanks for having me. And guys, subscribe to Tank. Hey, if you made it to the end, you like this guy, okay? This one, yes. If you've made it this far, the button and the bell, both of those, clicky. You have a good time. There you go.
And then if you're listening on Spotify, just ignore everything that was just said, because you won't see it anyways. We need to come up with like when I did my podcast episode with Vicky.
Right.
It was almost 4 hours. I don't know how.
Oh, fuck.
We just sat and talked, and we came up with a code word. So what's our code word going to be for the comments for people that actually listened to this and made it this far?
Oh, man.
First word that comes to your head. Just go.
Schnauzer.
Schnauzer. There it is. If you've made it this far in the podcast on YouTube, comment with Schnauzer, and we know you're a real one. You're a real one. You OG as fuck, fam. That's right. Dude. Well, Nik, thank you very much again, man. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you on Twitch in a little bit. And yeah, this was great. Thanks. You too, man. Have a good one. Yeah, for sure. What a blast that one was, man. I'm not going to lie. I edit so many videos now, whether it's the podcast or reaction videos or whatever, that sometimes it kind of feels like work and I'm just going through the motions and trying to get it done. And oftentimes I don't really get that into what I'm editing because I already filmed it. Like, I was there. I know what happened. But with this one, the whole time I was editing, I was laughing my ass off, man. I mean, Nik just has that infectious humor and attitude and positivity, and I just love it, man. I love sitting down and getting to talk to him about whatever it is, and got a lot of cool stuff, especially, his background and making music and stuff like that. But even some of the stuff he was talking about with, doing content on YouTube and Twitch. Like, I've said this many times to people. I feel as though Nik is one of the more intelligent content creators that I've talked to, and I talk to a lot of people away from the screen and stuff. I mean, he just stays so far ahead of the curve with his content, and a lot of people try to replicate what he's doing because currently he is setting the bar for a lot of other content creators that are dealing with music and the stuff that we do. And just a fantastic time, man. And I probably could have kept him here longer. I probably should have, because I let him go to give him time to get ready for his stream. But I had the time difference wrong. I ended the podcast and then I went to go fire up his stream later and realized he was starting an hour later than he was. But this is probably a good length for the podcast. I mean, if I would have kept going, we probably would have sat here for 3.5 hours, kind of like the episode with Vicky from The Agonist. But maybe we'll just have him back one of these days and keep talking more because, I mean, this is just a blast. These are always fun, especially when it's a fellow content creator, somebody that knows how we do these things and how we think about these things. But I'm super excited about Nik's music, man. And just as a reminder to anybody listening, that new Termina single and music video is being released July 8th, tomorrow, if you're listening to this podcast on the first day. if you're listening to it later, go back and watch that single, because it honestly blew me away. I had the bar set really high, knowing that, you know, they had kind of leveled up their music and they had Chris Turner and Zach Cervini involved, but it exceeded my expectations, and I'm stoked to see the response from the community when it actually releases, because I think it'll blow Nik away. I think that Nik is going to be just beyond ecstatic with the reception that this gets, and this is just one song. Like he said, we're going to have different flavors on this album. We're going to get a lot of different styles, so I can't wait to see what they crank out with this one. And yeah, man, that's really about it. For anybody that's watching this on YouTube, I'll have links in the description of the video where you can go visit Nik's channels if you're not familiar with any of them. He often streams on Twitch as well, which I would highly suggest checking out. They're always super fun. He often has guests on there and they check out videos together. And then if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere else that you can check out podcasts, probably the best way to support Nik, you could go to corekid.ca. That's all of his merchandise items. And I will say, I think Nik has some of the better merchandise of any of the content creators I've seen. I've got one of his hoodies. It's comfortable as hell. And there are links to all of his social media on there too, so you can keep up with him and all of his goofy ass memes on Instagram and all that stuff too, man. But I had a blast on this one once again, man. I hope that you guys thoroughly enjoyed listening to this one. We've got a lot of stuff coming up in the future. More recently, or in the near future rather, the next episode is going to feature vocalist Maria from Future Palace, who just put out another killer album. That was a great conversation. I can't wait for you guys to hear that one. And I'm also going to be having Alex Hefner on the podcast. I assume most people listening to this know Alex, but if you don't, another YouTube reactor. I recently did a video with him on my YouTube channel where we were discussing statements that were made about reactors are paid by labels and they read scripts, which is 100% absolute bullshit. You know, that just doesn't happen from all the people I've talked to. But we had a video about it and it was super fun and we felt like we could have talked for a lot longer. So I just invited him to the podcast. So be on the lookout for that one too. If you would like to support this content or my channel or myself or anything like that, feel free to go to TankTheTechMerch.com. You can check out some of the designs we have on there. Not too much, but just know that, you know, anything you grab on there does support this content and keeps it going. I also have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/TankTheTech, where you can, you know, join a couple different levels. At the very least, you get to see all of my releases about 2 or 3 days early, including these podcasts. So if you want to hear them before the rest of the world gets to, that's a good way to do it. But all of that stuff aside, man, you don't have to do any of it. Just know that I appreciate all of you guys taking the time to just watch and listen to this content because it's a blast. I have fun doing it, and I'm glad that you guys enjoy it. So thank you very much once again. One last time, my name's Tank. This has been episode 14 of the Back Lounge podcast. I did check just to make sure, but we're at the end. So wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other, and I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Back Lounge podcast.